slightly off with my casting, but I'm gonna do my best to hide not feeling good.
No worries, no worries. That's too bad. I didn't. I totally forgot to message you beforehand. Because we could have done it yesterday. Would have been way better.
That would have been better for me. I wouldn't have been so fucked up. I wouldn't have been.
Yeah, I was just. I don't know. Holiday season. I was kind of like indulging and
Yeah, man.
hanging out. Forgot what day it was, and then at like 4 p.m. I was like, "Oh shit, it's KCM day today." Oh shit, I never texted Shun yesterday. Oh, and I also missed my Japanese lesson.
Oh shit!
Like, I forgot. I forgot it was Friday. Oh,
that's alright. Holidays times, man. You gotta chill and enjoy yourself,
Yeah. I only have one major thing I have to do a week. How did I forget? Kind of funny.
Is what it is.
The only thing I had to do. Anyway. Alright, let's find the beginning of this. You go ahead and send out your links.
Yeah, I'm literally doing that right now. Oh, Post said he was playing against you. He said that you were winning easily, but you were giving him good feedback every game when he was asking you questions and stuff.
Oh, we're having a good session. Yeah, it was fun.
I haven't played with him. I've watched him, but I haven't played versus him recently. How does he feel against? Has he got any big major weaknesses? Or?
His aggressiveness he's not aggressive enough. Like he gets out with the good timing for two racks and stuff like that, but like he was able to shut down my third base multiple times, but I was able to just like kind of work around it and just get counterattacks going. I think that was one of his major weaknesses. Like he would attack my third, and then I would just counterattack his natural.
Yeah.
And he would become so like flustered, like he would lose a whole bunch of SCVs, and I would be on top of his barracks and stuff. He would run all the way back home, but then he wouldn't want to leave his base, so I would have a whole bunch of time to macro.
Yeah,
I think that was his biggest problem. Was he just got skittish, you know what I mean?
Right.
Like he's just like, he just attacked me. It's like you're still in an advantage,
Right.
you killed my third. Like all you have to do is just keep the aggression on, and you would be fine. But
yeah, he does fall apart a little bit when he gets counterattacked. He's not so good at holding it together. Like he's the typical Terran player of like he's good when he's on the rails, but as soon as he gets derailed, then he's all over the place.
Yeah, that's so true. That's definitely a Terran trait.
It's just such a rigid race, I think, that you get used to playing that way. Like, you get used to the guide rails, you know what I mean? Like, you get so used to it that you kind of just take it as a crutch without even thinking about it. So you take it for granted, then it fucks you over in game.
Yeah, that's true. Then, as Zerg, you're, like, so used to everything fucking falling apart. You're like, you've just been in that situation so fucking much. It's like, all right, just... But sometimes you kind of put your nose to the ground a little bit too hard, you know what I mean, and just keep, you're not like keeping your eyes on the prize. How do I actually win this game? You're just like putting everything back together.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's just putting Humpty Dumpty back together kind of game plan. When really it's like you should be thinking, okay, I need to survive, but how can I put myself into a best winning scenario from here? Like, because there might only be like a 10% win chance. We got to find it,
Yeah. No, I was proud of myself for doing some of those counterattacks. I was like, man, this is a really bad spot. I have like almost no options. What's my best choice? And I just found the best option. I did actually. I beat Love Snow. We did a best of 3. I beat him game 1, and then he beat me twice. But I did a counterattack to win that game as well, and it was really like a moment where I was like, okay, I'm like gonna lose if I try to save myself. Let's just go all and just go try to kill.
Aggression is the best plan against Love Snow. He's like Post. He's really good mechanically, but he falls apart once he's trying to put out fires. You know what I mean? So if you do like a lot of muter pressure or Ling run bys or something just to distract him and throw him off his ebb and flow, he completely dismantles the railroad and goes off road again. Yeah, same problem.
Right. Yeah,
That's
I
how
need
I've
to
always
do
been.
more. Need to do more like that. He was doing some fucking wacky shit like Vulture run by with a couple of Marines to tank damage, and it didn't work on me. But he tries that type of shit. I blocked him with drones, but he tried Vulture into Wraith into Vulture drop, and then like all this kind of funky shit like flying factories and stuff. Oh god, dude.
Yeah. Love Snow gets too creative. He needs to just stick to his lane and play his A game, but he gets a bit too creative sometimes.
He managed to beat me a couple of times with that.
He's a really good player, though. Like, he's got a lot of potential. Like he could almost be like a semi-pro Terran, like playing at an almost Gypsy level if he really put the effort in. You know what I mean?
Right.
If he wanted to. But he'd be more like an Artosis kind of player, where he's like good mechanically and he's got like a good base foundation, but he would probably struggle against people with like higher level of micro and finesse. Like anyone that can like do higher amounts of interactions per minute, you're in trouble. Like, yeah.
Right. That was interesting. I should do more show matches and stuff. It's quite stressful, but that's part of the game.
It's part of the game.
Something we gotta get used to. Are you
I'm ready.
about ready or okay?
Yeah.
Audacity. Little sound check on that. Your voice sounds okay, so
I'll do a sound check anyway.
Sure.
Test. Test. Yeah, it's good.
All right. Okay, go ahead and get it started. Let's get this going. I think it's going to be a long one. And we're back with season 5, week number 6, Stork versus Hero for game number 1. This is going to be a hell of a night, guys. Let's get it started. What a lineup that's been brought this holiday season. Sharp, Royal Light, Best, Stork, Mini, Soul Key, Queen, Hero. Hope you had a good Christmas. Shouldn't got everything you wanted. Because, this is just another present on the top. This is a cherry on the top, isn't it?
There was one present under the tree that we forgot about, and we looked under it, and we saw it was quite a nicely wrapped one as well. We opened it up, and there was only one thing about it that could have been better, and that's maybe swapping out like a Stork for a Bisu. But other than this, this is about as good as it can get, and I'm really happy to see Hero showing up again.
Yeah, I'm a little sad not to see Speed in the lineup. He's become a staple for KCM and has been putting out so many great games, but Royal Sharp Light, it's hard to complain in these circumstances, Shun.
Yeah, it's pretty good. It's almost as good as you can get, not much off the money. Going to be scouting both players right away early on. Hero doing this slightly unorthodox cross-map scout, although it does tell you exactly where the Protoss is early on. He knows the Protoss is bottom left now.
And so he will be able to find that natural in good time. Just the pylon so far, and hasn't sent a probe towards the natural just yet. Looks like Stork might get a little greedy, go for a Nexus. This was an overpool, so it's possible to get away with it, but you have to pull probes.
Yeah. I mean, depending on what state of the game is, you're sometimes only pulling like 1 or 3 probes. Sometimes you have to pull as many as like 5 or 7. It depends entirely on like what the pull timing is and how far the rush distances are. But generally speaking, when you're playing greedy, you have to pull at least 1 or 2 probes.
Stork's not going to get too greedy, though. Just putting down his Forge now. Looks like he's going to go Forge Nexus into Cannon. A little bit of greed. but not too much. I think he's going to be fine here, and Hero will just bully away this probe. Generally quite annoying to deal with, but he's going to get that drone out on the map and grab his third base here in a moment. Kind of a tough third base to take, though, on this map in this positions, don't you think, Shun?
Yeah. I mean, the easy third to take is towards our opponent, so that's definitely suboptimal here. We'd be much likely to take the natural expansion in the top right, maybe elect for a more lava style and play macro heavy and just play defensively with lurkers and go into an early 4-base setup, but I don't think Hero is going to be that kind of player, instead taking this base at the 12 o'clock as his third, much more reserved and much more like his usual playstyle.
It's slightly closer, but it's not that much closer. I don't think... I don't know. Hero could have taken the natural, and it's really not that much farther. Oh god, he lost the drone as well! No way! Stork!
Wow.
That's some great micro. Wow.
That's really crazy. It's very unlike Stork to get the better of someone, even putting a lot of pressure on this other drone as well. We'll have to chase down this probe with both links to make sure it cannot eventually get the kill on this drone.
Stork traditionally has been a lower APM player, a professional player, but Stork with 350 APM throughout the game, that's a scary prospect. If he can keep that up,
yeah.
I mean, Stork with high APM is a very scary, just technical player.
I mean, he's usually like a 200, 250 kind of guy, much more reserved, just really like thought out decision making and just being efficient with what he's got. But at the moment, he's playing a little bit faster than usual. But 350 does manage to get out with the probe as well. He's using a lot of manual move commands on that probe to make sure it's like sliding along that hex grid as cleanly as possible to stay at maximum distance from that Zergling.
Getting a little bit excited here, Shun. We had a season, a short period of time where Stork was looking dominant, and we were starting to think, like, is this guy going to have a chance at an ASL? Is he going to be able to keep this up? And it didn't seem like he could, but the potential is always there for him to start putting in the practice hours, and like his knowledge base is so good. If he could just master his mechanics and put in the effort to grind out these games, I don't know how far he can go. The sky's the limit, Shun.
Yeah, I mean, look at this. He's going to get right in here with the third base as well, saying, and that probe stayed alive just barely long enough to deny this amount of mining time. He will probably catch this out eventually. He does a fake out. He goes to the bridge and then runs back again. May be able to get a drone, but even if he just forces lost mining time, this is a pretty good deal. He's going to lose this Zealot. Either way, it's better to be able to get behind the minerals and deny as much mining time as possible. Kind of going for the drone kill again. Stork is really aggressive with this Zealot. He's lost so much mining time for Hero as a result of this.
Oh, just barely not able to get that, but he already got one drone in the main base. That would have just been cherry on the top. Extra little bit of damage for Stork, and yeah, like you said, lot of lost mining time is pretty darn worth it for that first Zealot. His life was for ire, and he will progress into the next stage. He'll be coming back as a Dragoon soon. For now, the Corsair checking out everything in the main base. He's going to see the Spire. Then he knows that he has just enough time to kill this one Overlord. And that there's nothing coming his way in terms of a Hydralisk bust.
Yeah, he's already killing down this other Overlord in the bottom right as well, by the way. So getting both of these killed, really cool. Oh, the Scourge come out. If he could have gotten the Overlord, he's going back in for it. You absolute madman. He gets it. He gets it, Sane, with the flick shot.
Looked like that Corsair was going to end up getting caught anyway. So going for the Overlord was a good choice there. There's still the possibility of getting this out, but you really have to pay close attention to it. The Scourge are going to come from an angle, and there it is. He manages to pick it off. It's so hard to keep your eyes on that Corsair nonstop, keep it moving, and prevent the interception. And he loses one Corsair. Is there a possibility of an Ogre Zerg play here from Hero?
Yeah, I think it might be likely. He did get one of those Corsairs scouted in the main base with the Scourge, saw that there wasn't a huge amount of them just yet. He will be eventually pulling more and more, but for the time being, there's only like 3 out on the field that are making their way downtown into the natural expansion. Zealots, though, pressuring the third base. Maybe how to get on top of these drones. Going to instead just target the Sunken and pull the drones towards them, and then go back to targeting the drones again and trying to double dip on both damage onto the Sunken and drones and forcing the drones to come to him. It's a pretty good technique. He's done a good job of killing most of those drones as a result and put a lot of damage down onto that Sunken.
Really well done here by Stork, picking off quite a few drones, slowing down that Zerg economy even more, making those Zealots' lives worthwhile. And there are a few Mutalisks out on the field, but this hero economy is kind of devastated at this point. Okay, there are 3 gases, so it's highly likely that Hero's going to go for a big Mutalisk play. It's so common for Zerg players who are falling behind to rely on that, and you can tell that Stork is completely used to this type of situation. He is going to make an Archon right off the bat, get some of that extra ground splash going as well to negate the big Mutalisk transition.
Right, yeah, it gives them an opportunity to catch those Mutalisks and put them dead to rights, but it also acts as point defense against the Scourge, since this Archon does just one-shot those Scourge. If he can get a clump of Scourge, it can be game-winning because there's just not enough Scourge left over to clear up the Corsairs, and you just mow down all their Overlords as a result. So it could be a huge tempo swing making this Archon, but that is a lot of Muta Scourge saying it's going now.
Oh my goodness, this is going to be an intense fight, possibly over the natural of Stork, maybe going for the main in a moment. Archon has come forward. The Corsairs are staying back home though. Stork, not willing to risk their lives, knows that he needs them back at home just in case this army comes in. Dark Templar heading out on the map. He probably would like to have Maelstrom in a situation like this, but he's not going to have it. Here comes that big force of Scourge and Mutas into the main base. How are the Corsairs going to fare? 1 or 2 Corsairs have gone down so far, but not enough connections on these Scourge. I think he can stand and fight. 7 Corsairs remain, and yeah, he can still 2-shot those Scourge. Just needs to come in here and take this fight properly. The Mutalisks will be trying to take that aggro so that the Scourge can connect. Here we go. Coming back in right as the last Corsair pops out. 1 Corsair went down there. Very nice hold from Stork, and he's making a lot of progress here at the third base.
Yeah, 1 Sunken already going down. Now target firing the drones. Huge economic damage. Corsairs also en route to get on top of those Mutas as soon as they start to help out. There's not a lot of those left alive, and not many Scourge probably on the map currently. Some Scourge have been made though, trying to intercept these Corsairs. Get 3 of them. Only 4 Corsairs now remaining. DT's coming in. There's like 5 or so Overlords here though, so he should be able to clean up this DT if he target fires it.
Oh, you could try to split these Mutas and actually take this fight with the Corsairs, but he's instead opting to keep the Mutas together and try to connect with this Scourge. 3 Corsairs only left now. There's just not quite enough to break this space. Hero has held on, but Stork, he is definitely not out of this game. He hasn't taken severe damage from the Ogre Zerg play, but he will lose all of his Corsairs. Oh, losing those Corsairs on the outro is pretty annoying. Hero could possibly switch back into Mutalisk again and start to snipe Templar in the future.
Yeah, he's already got like 4 or 5 Mutas left alive, so he only has to make like another 4 or 5, and then he's got enough to just start going in ham on these Templars and one-shotting them. And look, he's doing that. He's going to get up to like 10 or so Mutas again, and then just start one-shotting these Templars. And it might be lights out for Stork if he can execute that maneuver. Stork, though, is just eyeing up this third base, seeing if he can get on top of the production with the Storm right away. Each of these Templars have about 2 Storms apiece. That's almost 6 Storms available to him to start laying siege to the Zerg, and he might be able to get the job done if he catches Hero off guard.
Hero lack of information out on the map, lack of scouting is going to allow these Templar to get in range of these hatcheries and cast some really valuable storms. If he had known about this and as it was coming across the map, he would have easily held it, but the drones! Oh my goodness, 6 kills on that High Templar. Almost all of those being drones. The Templar will finally go down to the Mutas, but look at how low all of these are. Just a few Corsairs could fight this, and he is going to bring them forward while the Zealots are dealing damage on the ground. Mutas, of course, they can take out Zealots eventually, but they're so beefy, so tanky, and these Corsairs are coming. Mutas have to run. The Zealots are doing so much damage.
I'm getting chills right now saying Stork is playing out of his mind. He's actually like manually chase microing down these Mutas with the Corsairs and stuff. Stork is playing like an absolute god right now. I'm getting so many nerd chills.
Well, we can chop a lot of that up to Hero's lack of scouting as well. Had those Templar been caught going across the map, the Mutas that he made earlier would have easily wiped them up. Then the Zealots wouldn't have done much against that number of Hydras and the Mutalisk in the air, but unfortunately, he was not expecting Stork to go across the map. The gamble pays off, and the third base is now dead. Hero against the ropes. Is there any chance of a comeback from a position like this?
I mean, I think he can recover. He just needs to double expand, like take the top right like he's doing now and then retake this hatchery that he just lost. He can still recover. It's a little bit more awkward for him to go the distance against Stork now. But Stork hasn't taken his third. So, you know, the curve of the game isn't too crazy. Eventually, Stork will get this third up and we're not feeling too happy about it as Hero. But at the same time, it's technically a playable game. There isn't too many Corsairs out on the field to get supply blocked, so he's got some level of comfort to just macro up, make drones, and build hatcheries, but he's got to stay active on the front like he's doing now with the Hydras to try and, like, you know, keep Stork busy. But Stork is already like going into a high count of Dragoons, which is exactly what he needs to go on an assault right now, and we can see Hero panicking and making a few Sunkens in response, and he does need to do that.
He absolutely does need something on the defense, because he's just going to go across the map with his Mutas and try to trade the Protoss natural for possibly the third base that's completely undefended. Fourth base over in the top right-hand corner, I don't think has been scouted. Hero maybe making some lurkers on that high ground. Sunken Colonies holding back at home, but that's a lot of Dragoons. Some Storms going to come out on any units that are coming forward, and drones are going to get stormed as well. Drones being pulled to the front, trying to block here in a desperate attempt, a desperate maneuver. This last Corsair will go down, and the natural is breached. But the Zerg natural is so much more important. Gonna dive in on the main now. Hero going for that last cannon. It's almost looking like a base trade situation here between Stork and Hero. But, I mean, can you actually win this as a Zerg player? Oh my god, he's actually driven it back. He stopped the attack into the natural. This is crazy, Shun.
Yeah, this is really crazy. There is a DT there that will bully back some of those Hydras, so he will go for another assault here, maybe getting something done. But with this base mining in the top right, Hero's not feeling as threatened as usual, so has some compensation this. But now look at Stork. He's got some tempo. He's getting on top of the Zerg production. He's going to target by the Den down. This is now a little bit more awkward for Hero.
Is there an Overlord in top right? I certainly hope there is, because that is his last mining. It has to be saved. There it is. He gets the DT. These units breaking in through the natural. A few more Mutas are going to pop out, and the army's going to come back home to try and deal with this. If he can just quickly snipe down the Templar without taking too much storm damage, there's a really good chance of Hero winning this game. But if the storms connect properly, ooh, it whiffs the first one. If he could just dodge a couple more storms here, Stork will be in a lot of trouble, but he's holding them back, waiting for a full engagement from Hero before he casts those storms so that he can get maximum value. Here we go. Oh. Storm on his own units. Ooh, that was a bit rough. He storms, and the Hero just dives right through it. Great dodge there on those Mutalisks, and he's got a bunch of Sunken Colonies up on the high ground, so this Zealot run by is not going to do anything. I think maybe Hero's done it, man. He's done a great job.
Yeah, I mean, not what was so crazy about that was that Hero was calculating that, okay, I need to make a game state where even if I lose this natural, I'm still okay. He was making Sunkens in the main base. He was really thinking ahead, and even then, he didn't actually need those Sunkens in the main base. Now coming onto the counterattack, getting one of these high Templars critically, every utility snipe is a big deal. With 11 Mutas, it's going to be so difficult for Stork to be able to deal with these. Now he's on top of the production. There's no way he can even mine from the main base. Like, Stork's in a world of hurt right now, so.
If he targets down the Templar archives, that would be such a huge snipe, but instead he's going to fly over here to the third base. He finds the cannons. There's one Templar with some storms, so you can't actually take a fight there without losing everything. Hero going to back up for now. 3 base versus 4-ish, almost 4 bases for Hero. Storm goes down. This is a little bit rough. He's going to lose these cannons real fast. Hydra's diving on top. The storm was not good enough from Stork, and Hero might be able to take out this base.
Yeah, this is kind of a wild situation that we're seeing right now. Stork needs to make something happen soon. If this DT can get a lot of work done, it would be crazy good. But there is an overlord in the main base, so as long as he reacts and sees that he's losing drones, he'll be fine. But he might not pay attention. He might just lose all these drones for free and not even notice.
This is such a weird situation now, Hero. He's not going to notice until almost every drone is dead. So dropping that overall count of drones insanely low, still at a supply advantage though. A lot of that being in Mutalisk, however, could fall apart very quickly if those get caught, if they get stormed. Suddenly that supply advantage could disappear, but so far Hero doing a great job of just hanging in there. Hero running these drones away and attacking into the third base. All the Zealots are on the other side of the map. Stork going to go for a counter while this attack is coming into his third though. Losing a lot of these probes. Zealot's going to jump on top of this base, going to go for the lair.
Yeah, go for the lair is a good choice. But the problem is that like Dragoons lose straight up to Mutalisk. So he needs to get something done critically. Or he'll eventually just lose out because there's no way he can keep trading off against these Mutalisks with just pure Dragoon production. Especially not Hydras supporting those Mutalisks. So needs something else, some sort of splash, Archon, Corsair, anything just to deal with these Mutas. Or he won't be able to win the trades forever.
He's having such a hard time getting some gas income going. The main base is finally going to start to mine a little bit again, but he's been on one gas for quite a long time, and he's completely lost that third base. Zealots going to make their way over towards that top. 2 Zealots and a DT coming over to this fourth base. I don't think it's going to be enough to break this position, but he is going to shut down the mining at the third for the time being. Those Mutalisks going to come back and hopefully shut that down. One drone, it looks like, escapes from the third base.
Yeah.
Kind of an insane situation here, but Stork is starting to mine out, and Hero has completely secured top right.
The Stork would have already been mined out if this game wasn't so crazy, and he wouldn't have had to keep pulling his probes back and forth. So he might have a little bit of longer time mining than usual, but he's about to dry up now. And without a third base, that's a daunting prospect. He's even making cannons in the main base to stabilize still. This is not a position you want to be in as Stork at all. Hero will run away with this game for sure.
Could all come down to 1 or 2 storms, though. There's always that possibility that Hero flies in and loses a bunch of mutas to a good storm, but it's so hard to do as Stork when Hero is so good at reacting with these units. There's a storm! Okay, that was the one chance, I think, that hidden Templar over the assimilator gets some damage going, but not enough.
Yeah,
he really needed that to do so much damage.
Yeah, these are the kind of tricks you want, like, you know, High Templars hiding on the tops of gateways and stuff, or the tops of gases, your buildings, basically, just to, like, you know, surprise the Zerg player with a storm or preemptive storm they don't anticipate, and you catch the entire flock for free. That's really good. These storms are okay as well, but they're nowhere near as good because they only do 10, 20 or so damage before the mutas are already out of that box. So needs to ideally get those preemptive storms where the mutas fly into them and don't expect the storms to even come. So I don't think he's going to find it, though. Look how many Hydras are out as well. Like, this is just... Hero's just so good. Like, only Hero would come... Only someone like Hero or Sulky could come back this smoothly in a game.
Where did all these Hydras come from? We've only got, like, 4 hatcheries in this game. Somehow, able to finagle this army together. It's kind of shocking to see what Hero can bring out now with 100 supply to just 66. It's gonna be a miracle hold if Stork manages to win this next fight. Hero is checking out the third base. He sees that no third base has been taken. This is an all-in attack. If Stork doesn't win with this army right here, this game is going to be over. Diving on top of the Templar. I bet he wishes he made an Archon with at least one of those, but he doesn't have a single Archon. Now it's just one DT back at home defending and nothing else. One Templar with maybe one Storm is going to be a part of this next fight, but as long as Hero dodges that properly, they should be able to win against the Dragons. Oh, 2 more Storms from the high ground, actually. Those Storms were pretty clutch. Let's see if he can actually take this fight. More Hydras coming from that high ground as well. Again, where did all of these Hydras even come from? They're diving on top of the Dragoons and starting to lower that count. There's a few too many, and all of these Dragoons will fall. That has got to be it. GG is called. Stork taps out.
Wow, that's a big shame there. Maybe Stork could have stormed the Hydras to the north and then used the Dragoons to maneuver south, but it was pretty hopeless at that point. Just not able to trade out with Hero, who's finessed his way back into the game. What a crazy way to start this series, Sam.
Oof.
That was a banger of a first game.
Absolutely. A little bit lightheaded after that. That was crazy.
Yeah, I didn't expect that from Stork. He was trying to play on all cylinders. Especially
I didn't expect that from Hero to make that comeback.
Yeah.
My goodness.
Yeah, Hero's a beast.
That was impressive.
There's a reason why Hero's one of my favorite players.
Did you notice that there were some like changes to that map?
Oh yeah, the little like gun turret things, you mean?
Yeah, I was looking at that, but I didn't have a moment to bring it up.
So I'm guessing, is that to like make it harder to like wall or something? Or what is that? Like,
I figured maybe they made it like, maybe they changed the size and then added the gun turrets. I'm not sure. The size of the entrance? I'm not sure, but I don't know what they were going for. Maybe it's to stop Terran from just making a wall there instantly.
That's what I'm wondering. Yeah, that's what I'm thinking it is.
Maybe.
Because just so you know, that is broken, by the way, that Terrans can just wall on every map.
Wall. Yeah.
Just putting it out there.
Yeah, it is kind of broken. Alright, let's go into this next one. Well, it looks like Light's going to be sent out first for the Terran squad. A Stork going down in a blaze of glory, game number 1. What are we going to see from Hero versus Light? Cross-map Pantheon. It should be a great battle.
Yeah, I think so. Very early wall in from Light. No surprises there. We were saying between the games just now, saying about it looks like there were some changes to that map. Deja vu a moment ago with the gun turrets and the natural expansion. Possibly blocking early wall-ins like this. We don't know for sure.
It did feel like maybe a nerf to Terran on Deja vu. We didn't have a moment to bring it up during that action-packed game. Here, though, it is still possible to wall, but just not perfectly, and I think that's a little bit more balanced. That the Terran player can't fully wall, that they have at least one little gap, making it a little bit harder to hold on in the early game.
I think so. I mean, you can still defend Vorpal with this, so you should be happy as a Terran player with your one whole wall, I think.
Yeah, absolutely. It's still so broken. It's still so strong. But you just can't quite cut as many corners without that full wall in, so I think it's a little bit more balanced.
Yeah, I think so. And we have seen that in StarCraft where we keep making these micro adjustments on maps to, find a smoother balancing. We're not changing the HP of units or making them do more damage like you see in other games, but we are making slight adjustments to the ebb and flow of the game by helping players out in certain game states. Say, for example, on like Neo Sylphid, it can be hard for like Terrans to set up their turrets to defend against mutas. You have to consider all these things when making a map.
There might be other reasons why those turrets were added as well. Not just what we are thinking, but that's the first thing that comes to either of our minds. So just thought we'd mention it. And moving on into this game now, Hero getting his lair going and a 1 Rax expand from Light. 2 Rax, well, 1 Rax FE into 2 Rax, right? Yeah. And so he'll be putting on a little bit of pressure here, although it is cross-map. It might be a little bit hard to force those sunken colonies out of Hero.
Yeah, it's cross-map, so a little few extra seconds on the runtime. But sometimes, cross-map can help you do sneaky move-outs with Marines when they're not quite paying attention. You haven't got an Overlord in position to scout, and there's no lings to check. So sometimes you can sneak out with Marines and, confuse the Zerg and obfuscate your attack timings. So sometimes being cross-map, even though a longer distance, can sometimes help you launch your assault. So it does find these 2 Marines.
This should force out at least 2 more sets of Lings from Hero. Good job pulling back that one Ling. Just losing even one Ling in this early game is pretty annoying for the Zerg player. You're so dependent on those early game drones. You can't be losing any early game units or you'll be forced to build more, which cuts into your drone production. Light just going to drop back with those first few Marines. As speed finishes up, they're under a bit of pressure, but instead for focusing on that SCV, I think that Hero's starting to see the wider picture, though, realizing that this is probably going to be that 5-minute pressure, and in fact, it's even a little bit faster than that. Already starting to move out at 4:45.
Well, 4:50 is like the build order timing. It's just most people aren't good at hitting those timings. So they're like 10 seconds slower, so it ends up being 5 minutes. But the actual timing is 4:50. It's just no one can, macro that good.
Well, it looks like, look at this. Light's going to move out, potentially with 4 medics. I haven't really seen this. What's going on with the 4 medics? And in fact, he's just going to stay back. This is a bit curious because why would you choose this build and then stay back with 4 medics? Instead of going for an earlier eBay and getting the early +1.
I think it's just because it's Hero and he knows how wide Hero's range of play is, and he sees the early speedlings. He knows he's probably not going to make any Sunkens, and he's worried about like a critical mass of Zerglings just bowling him over, like we saw happen to a few other players recently. Sometimes you just move out at like 5 minutes, and they run in with like a bunch of Zerglings and eat you up. Whereas if you hold back like this, and they did make those Zerglings, they're just dead in the water, and they wasted so much lava.
Well, the gamble's not going to pay off here because Hero just keeping 4 Lings at the front has not committed to building Lings. In fact, he's got his 3rd base on the way. It's just finishing up now. Some drones are already transferring there and the mutas are coming. So this little gamble has not paid off for Light. His read was incorrect. And I think that Hero takes a little bit of an advantage off of this, not being forced to build Sunkens, and the +1 upgrade is late for Light. That's a bit rough.
Yeah, I mean, honestly though, like having the early 4 medics does give him a lot more leverage in the early move outs against the mutas, because you just got so much bigger energy pool in these medics that you don't have to worry about overstimming. You can just kind of like charge across the map more, and the Zerg can't really bait out stims and drain your energy the same way as usual. So this does give a lot of counter potential to Light, and he's doing a good job of target finding the mutas as they come in. Now getting on top of the 3rd base as well. It's like Hero's forced to respond, and he's not doing so well.
Wow, Hero didn't build enough mutas. Look, he's only got 5. Well, he built a 6 muta there, but started to lose some of them. Usually you'll build at least 7 mutas to start to put the pressure onto Terran early on, but instead he was trying to walk the fine line and just defend while getting his drone saturation up on this 3rd base, and he's really paying the price for it. He's lost a bunch of these drones, and a lot of the mutas have gone down. Eventually, he will whittle down this army, and he will not lose this 3rd base, but this is quite a bit of damage. He's really paying for his hubris earlier and his trying to drone up and greed on this 3rd base. This is brutal for Hero.
I think this was Light's game plan, was to make Hero play greedy, just undercommit into mutas and then punish it, and it's worked flawlessly. That's a really good read from Light. Just he's only playing this way because it's Hero. He sussed Hero out. He's played hundreds of games against this guy. He knows him so well, all his potential range of play, and he found the one thing that really threw a massive wrench into his clockwork.
Hero is not grinding to a stop just yet. No matter how many wrenches are thrown into his game. We saw that in his match versus Stork. This guy will just take those wrenches and grind them into dust. And continue to chug along. He's diving now on top of these Marines, killing off a lot of this expeditionary force, and he's getting underway with that 3rd base once again.
Hero's just so good that, yeah, sometimes even if you put him into bad situations, he still does a good job of it. Pretty good target firing from the Marines, but honestly, this is a great job from Hero. He has whittled down the majority of these bioforces that is now will be much more manageable. Doesn't have to waste loads of economy on crazy amounts of Sunkens or anything. He can maintain map control, which is the crucial thing at this junction of the game. Just maintain map control with your 4 barracks production and keep the pressure on the Zerg so we can't harass your SCV AV lines, and you're sitting pretty as a Terran until those vessels come out.
I wonder if Light is continuing to build SCVs here, or if he's getting really skimpy and staking around 35. He's already got his second refinery, so something tells me that he is continuing along with his economy and growing into a huge monster for the late game. Now coming up towards this third, he's almost in a position to perhaps deny this once again. The Sunken Colony is again a little bit late, and it might end up dying here before Hero can get this completely set up. This defense is not going to work out for him, losing all the drones at this third base, and potentially the third as well. It does go down. Hero was battered a little bit too much, it seems, from that first attack, and just not able to pull together enough units to defend. He loses all the mutas. Beautifully done here by Light.
Seriously good game from Light. I'm almost speechless. It was so well executed. I kind of get chills from watching this guy. Like, he's not necessarily the best execution of player, but wow, his game plans can be like almost next level. Did you quit the closed stream?
I accidentally did, yeah.
Nice one. Good job, buddy.
All right, we'll get it back. All right, there it is.
Damn. I thought Hero was going to hold a little bit better than that.
Impressive.
Yeah, very impressive. He really like cut him up like a surgeon as well.
I'm kind of surprised, honestly, that Hero looked at that force with 4 medics and 12 Marines and was like, "Oh yeah, Light's not going to push yet. Let me just make a bunch of drones." I was like,
the way Light played it,
definitely coming.
The way Light played it was as if like he had like sold Hero a red herring in their practice games or something, or games on the ladder, where he's like played that way on the ladder or something, or practice games, but then he's not played exactly like that. Like he's set up like that defensively, but then played a macro game, and that sells the red herring to Hero. Oh, okay, I'll play greedy because you want a macro from this game state, but really Light's like, no, I can also do this variation if I want to and counter you.
You know what I think it is that Light realized that Hero wasn't going to be able to scout him early, and he sold him that he was going for an eBay first.
Yeah.
And so Hero thought, you're going to wait until range is done before pushing out, so I'll get another round of drones in.
Absolutely.
And then he pushed out with the 2 Rex at kind of a later timing, to disguise, like to just, okay, we'll just delay this by like 30 seconds to where it's around the timing, like just a little bit earlier than an eBay first, but a little bit later than the 2 racks. So he thinks it's an eBay first, but then the attack comes in too early for him to react. Yeah. That's such a fine adjustment, honestly. I think that might be what happened, though.
Yeah, I think that's roughly what happened. He was just selling him like a false story. Like he's doing like his macro game setup when he's actually not, and he's just playing defensively initially.
Yeah, the eBay first build is so good, and 2 racks is not great. Again, like when you're cross map anyway.
Yeah.
I think that was what he was playing into. Is like, okay, you're gonna think, right, one, that it's not a good build for the map. You're probably gonna be thinking for the map and for the position, it's better to go eBay here.
100%.
So I'm gonna pretend that it's an eBay build by just staying at the natural and pretend like he was kind of like pretending that he's going to move out, like a lot of players do with the eBay build, but they're not actually going to do it. They're just going to sit there in the natural and wait for their upgrades.
Yeah, that's why I got super excited when I saw him building that second racks after expanding. I mean, like when I saw the second racks go down, I was like, "Ooh, something interesting might happen in this game."
That was.
It's definitely not optimal to go 2 racks there. It's just so not optimal. So for him to do it, definitely there's definitely an intentional mindset going forward. I like it. It's a great play from Light.
That's fascinating. Yeah, that's really cool.
Really high level thinking.
All right, let's go.
Go.
After an absolutely fascinating game between Light and Hero, you know what? Let's restart because I just said I said it was Hero, but then I crossed out Queen for some reason. I'll go ahead and cross out Hero
Queen
here.
catching strays for no reason. And by the way, no, this isn't the same Hero as the guy that plays SC2. You're thinking a Liquid Hero. Yeah, that's a different guy. There are a lot of Broodwar guys that also did play StarCraft 2, like Sulky. Obviously, there are people like that, but Hero's not that same guy.
After that fascinating performance from Light in game number 2, Hero's been eliminated, and now Mini takes the stage. Minstrel is our map. Mini spawns down here in the bottom right-hand corner. Such a great map, but just talking about that last match for a second as we're getting underway. Just what a performance from Light. There were so many mind games going on in that. We were breaking down after, in between the games. But I feel like we've really gotten a glimpse into the genius of Light and why this guy is so respected.
Yeah. No, this guy is thinking on a different level. He might not necessarily be the best player in terms of how he executes, but certainly one of the best players in terms of his thought process and how he plans and strategizes and thinks things through. And it was a really tactical thing to go for by doing like a 2-Rax Academy build and hiding the fact that he's gone for a quick range and quick high concentration of bio units and selling the red herring to a Hero that it's just a 1-Rax eBay macro build like you would usually do, especially in cross maps on that map.
Yeah, absolutely. Making it look like a regular macro build, a perfect build for that map and that map positioning. Being in cross map, just a 2-Rax build is not that good, and he really sold a Hero on the fact that he wasn't going to be pushing across the map until upgrades were finished, and that was just not the case. He gets so much damage, and now he's here against Mini, who's decided to gas steal.
Yeah. I think
what a shocker, Shun.
I think you have to gas steal. But yeah, he's being sarcastic.
2-player map.
Yeah, there are people in here that are English second language and they won't understand sarcasm. So I'll just clarify for them that we are being sarcastic. But yeah, big shocker here.
No Germans in the chat, I hope. They're not gonna be they're not gonna understand sarcasm. I'm just kidding, German guys. You're fine. Don't worry about it. We know that you don't understand. They can take a joke, but they can't understand sarcasm. That's what I've learned.
Yeah.
This gas steal is going to slow Light's, of course, factory down by quite a bit, but he is totally adept at taking an early CC, gasless CC. Looks like he's actually more interested in taking that gas than maybe I thought, though. Maybe he wants to get the gas before he drops the CC and do kind of like a mid-range build instead.
Yeah, I mean, I think mid-range, when you know your opponent is, doesn't quite get the probe. I think mid-range is usually the approach you should go for. If you're feeling confident in yourself, usually you're only going greedy if you either like have a really good read on the other opponent, you need to go greedy for some reason, or you're not quite as strong of a player or not as confident in that matchup. But usually if you're really confident, you go for a more mid-range style. And look at him coming in there trying to get a little bit of bully damage, some lost mining time, maybe 1 or 2 probe kills. You might almost get the job done, but so far just so much lost mining time. Really tactical usage of these early Marines and SEVs to bully these probes off the line like this.
Mini is being very hard-headed about this, keeping the probes on the mineral line. One does go down. He just didn't want to leave that natural and give up that mining time. Just leave those in the main base. until the threat was dealt with. So he sticks around, loses one probe, but he's going to get to mining here in the natural pretty darn quick. Getting that probe in is pretty sneaky. Sliding by, he sees the CC. Now he knows exactly what's going on from Light. Light has the gas rolling, and he's got the CC down, but it's not the quickest CC, and it's not the quickest gas either. It is definitely a mid-range style that Mini will have some plan to deal with here.
Yeah, I love watching these early game footsies of both players, and just how they position their units in the early game can make such a big difference in, like, you know, catching the probe scout or, like, you know, letting it slip by. Like, it's really interesting seeing like how much these players understand the game to, like, just figure out exactly the tiny little threading of the needle they have to do to get, like, the critical information to go forward in the next phase of the game. Because if they don't, they kind of just have to, like, guess and, like, hedge their bets, and they can't quite optimize the same way to be able to explode in power like we usually do see them do in the mid game.
Incomplete information played a massive role in last game, but it's not going to play as much of a role, I think, here. Both players have kind of sussed each other out, aside from the fact that this third base is being taken so quick. Light doesn't know about that, and that could be a massive factor. If he doesn't find out about that until it's a little bit too late, Mini could get away with a lot of greed right now.
Yeah. It was really interesting to watch Mini almost catch that SCV with the probe. Didn't quite get it, but Dragoon will finally clear that up and find the compensation. Scouting pylon made at the 12 o'clock position, just in case of Vulture drop shenanigans or Vulture run-bys to help protect this third base on time as well. So setting himself up for a strong mid-game. Everything looks like it's going pretty crisp so far.
Mini getting this insanely fast third base out. This is the benefit of going for a Nexus first, is the fact that you can get that third out so quickly. It's 6 minutes now, and that Nexus is almost done. Very low on overall army count, but the early gas steal prevents Light from really having a lot out on the map to deal with this, and he's even going to be forced to start with siege mode, it seems. So siege mode, after this conservative opener, this is playing directly into Mini's hands.
Yeah.
He's not going to be able to put on any pressure, and Mini's going to get away with murder in terms of his economy.
Yeah. Hopefully he can shuffle down. Okay, so he doesn't lose a Dragoon. But honestly, like, yeah, you're right. Like, there's no real counterplay at the moment. I mean, we could invest heavily into 5 factories and try and go for a push, but wouldn't necessarily be the best plan of action. He scans and sees 4 gateways in the main base, so already 2 factories to 4 gateways. Mini's going to be able to churn out just barely enough units to stop anything that Light could do. So Light will instead play a much more reserved style, probably go like 2 factory tech here, but I don't know if that's going to be a wise decision. I mean, Mini's just going to explode in economy if you just sit back and tech as Terran.
I love what Mini is doing. You know, the in my mind, the best thing that Light could do against this play from Mini being so greedy is go for a Vulture drop. And look how Mini's prepared for this. He's set up pylons all around. He's got a pylon in the north, 2 pylons on the left-hand side. He's got units everywhere, just set up and ready for a drop that could possibly come out from any angle out of Light's base is going to get caught. And Mini will be able to respond to that. He has perfectly set this up. And Light is just going to move out and take a third. He's going to try and macro super hard. I don't know if Mini can break this, but he's going to have an opportunity here pretty soon.
Yeah, I mean, this is going to be an interesting game because, like, if Light can somehow hold on to these bases, he might be able to make a very strong game out of it. Mini, I'm not sure what his style will be here, if he wants to go kind of crazy right here, right now, and put on a lot of pressure with the shuttles, or if he wants to just, you know, take an early 4th base, because he can take a nerf as early as a 4th as he wants. Like, he can take an 8-minute 4th, which is insane if he wanted to. Now we see the 5 factory coming out of Light. I don't hate it. I think it's very mid-range, though. It's going to be very difficult to, like, get an easy value here against Mini, but it might be consistent enough value for him to survive, and that's what he's thinking about right now. Just getting as many units as possible to not die to the macro machine of Mini.
Coming across this bridge is a bit scary. That's a very tight position to try and rush Dragoons across with this many tanks waiting on the other side. It looks like he's going to turn away from that. I'd much rather see him come from the north That pathway is way less cluttered. However, he is going to go ahead and grab that fourth, as you were mentioning earlier. He throws down the Nexus already. But Light, I mean, getting away with a CC here at, what, 8 minutes? That's going to be finishing up now? That's so crazy. That's such a fast third. The amount of greed that's going back and forth in this game is kind of crazy, but I think it might favor Light in the long run. He is so good with those giant maxed out armies. It's crazy.
And Mini is double expanding, so this is going to get really wild. Like 5 base versus 3 base. We're allowing the Terran to take this third, and we're going to say your fourth is going to be impossible to take, and I'm going to race ahead to 5 base economy. So if you can keep the Terran on 5 versus 3, you will just be slapping him around all day. But we do see a rush into, like, 7 factory production from Light. He will be firing on all cylinders now. Maybe he can build up a big enough force to both screen Mini and also eventually take this fourth at 12 o'clock and then push on this horizontal axis in the top lane, maybe.
Does it look like Mini's going to go into carriers? It kind of feels like he's just going to take this fifth and start to build out a carrier force. Maybe sack one of the bases, whichever one Light decides to push into.
Right.
Probably top right, sack that base, and then wait for carriers to come online. Try to do a counter or something. That is a possibility. 4 Templar or 4 shuttles, excuse me, is a great force for just diving into the main or the natural and try to get a bunch of damage. Try to make a big distraction. Typical play from a Protoss player who's trying to switch into carriers to just create some problems for the Terran, so they're not really thinking about what tech is coming out next for the Protoss. Let's see if he can get that good damage and distract Light enough, or is this just going to get completely crushed and then Light can come across the map and destroy him before the carriers even come online? Indeed, it's going to be carrier this game.
Yeah, I mean, he's aware there's Reavers out on the map, but he has no idea about these carriers for the time being. He's going to have to figure it out soon, because he's on like a 3-minute window where he needs to figure this out and have some kind of response executed before that window is up, when the carriers are popping out and they're building up interceptors. Once they get 4 carriers, they're going to start running away with the game, especially if you don't know they're coming. And this is going to be 3 Stargate carrier, so going from 3 to 6 is a very big power spike for the Protoss player.
That 3 Stargates definitely escalates quickly. Light throwing down scans, but what did he see? Just taking a look at the natural. He doesn't see any Templar. That might be a tip-off. Templar should be out at this point if you're going to be playing a normal game. You want to have storms in this army to deal with the big clumps of Terran units, so he hasn't actually scanned any further. I don't think that he knows about this yet, but he might be starting to get suspicious.
Right, he'll eventually get the Templar tech once he's finished building his carriers, but until he's built his carriers, like, all of the gas will want to be invested into those kinds of critical units, and eventually he'll have some Storm to supplement and, use to soften up clumps of Goliaths and stuff. But now we see the big move out from Light. He wants to maybe take this expansion at 12 o'clock and attack on this axis at the same time. Needs to make sure he keeps some units back at this 3rd base so he doesn't just get destroyed by Mini's counterattack, though.
Well, Mini is, I think, likely going to sack this base, as I mentioned earlier, while taking 6 o'clock. He's just going to run the probes, send a bunch of them down to 6 o'clock, and just give up this base. He has so much money. Another base down here in the bottom left-hand corner. Look at him. He's got 2,000 minerals, Shun.
This is what I was thinking was going to happen, yeah.
He's just dumping all of this money into carriers and a lot of zealots, I imagine, as well. As that speed comes online, he'll end up taking a trade with this army, but he has so much room on the map to move. He can just keep backing up. Doesn't need to keep these probes here either. He can just run everything away and keep that economy rolling while more bases come online. Dropping on top of this now a bunch of zealots on top of the tanks. The Reavers are trying to get some good shots off, but this is a great trade from Light. He's taking out everything, including that shuttle goes down with the Reaver inside.
Yeah, this is a really impressive push from Light. The way he's positioning his tanks and keeping his army very tight formation like this. He knows there's no storm, so there's no harm in doing this style of push right now, and it's making a lot of value for its short effort here. And now he maybe target firing the shuttle down. One more hit would have finished the job. Didn't quite get it, but these 2 Reavers are more or less dead in the water anyway with that low HP of shuttles, so he needs to be very cautious here. He's putting a lot of pressure onto Mini, trying to get a 2-for-1 deal and knocking out these 2 bases in the top right. If he can get the probes, it's going to be huge. He scans the Stargates, now knows it's carriers as well, can start to optimize, making more Goliaths and factories and kicking his production into higher gear. But I don't know how if he scouted that too late or not. I mean, he might not have enough production to finish Mini off, but maybe he does. Oh, it's gonna be Wraiths.
Double starport Wraith play is coming. He's gonna go ahead and build a bunch of Wraiths. Try to surprise suddenly with some cloaked Wraiths. If there's not enough observers in that army, it's going to be incredibly painful to watch.
But even if there is observers, you can scan and target them down, and Light is very good with his Wraith control.
That's correct, but it's kind of funny. Now the shoe is on the other foot, right? Generally, it's the Terran player who needs to be scanning and scouting and trying to figure out if carriers are coming. Now it needs to be Mini getting on the other side and trying to get information about what the follow-up play is. Is it going to be Wraith or not? If he finds out about that, he can just hold back the carriers until he has, 5-6 observers, and then it doesn't really matter. There's no way you're going to target them all down before the carriers clean everything. So, it is the other foot. The shoe is on the other foot, but it's not going to come into play here for a little while. He still has to take this fight. Mini is behind in supply. He's got 6 carriers, but they don't all have interceptors just yet. He needs to back away.
Yeah, he needs to just bide his time for the time being. Try and avoid any direct engagements, although Light might find a way of forcing it. And yeah, you're right. Unfortunately, Protoss do not have a map hack ability to just scan for that location, so we'd have to check there with an observer or a unit or something. You might not see that for quite some time. Now we see a frontal assault from Light that does turn around. He's scanning constantly for the Protoss whereabouts, which is what you want to do. Keep an eye on where the army moves to. And now he's being fluid and moving his army back in position, trying to maybe bait Mini into attacking and then countering it.
Carriers are coming to bear now. Going to start to snipe down a few of these tanks. Carriers are very, very good on this map because of the way that the lanes work. It's going to give you lots of opportunities. Just switching between the lanes will force the Terran player to walk his army long distances to chase, and you can take advantage of that Terran player. Similar to this, almost going to snipe down this command center. I don't see any observers with this force, though, Shun.
Nope.
The Wraiths may be coming in soon.
Yeah, I think so.
He's been building them up for a while. He's probably got about 4. No, okay.
There's one observer
just
sitting
3
down to the south, and that's it. So there's no other observer in sight, at least not nearby. So if he does catch these carriers unawares, if he snipes that one observer that's nearby, he's pretty much going to kill more or less all of those carriers before they can retreat to safety.
Well, he's still got to build up a few more Wraiths first. He's only got 3. Probably want to get like 8 Wraiths before you even decide to go in. The Reavers underneath this army are doing so much work, adding on that splash damage that's kind of missing from the army because we haven't gone into Templars just yet. But it's not been enough to push back Light all the way. Aside from killing this one command center, it really hasn't done that much. 12 kills on that one Reaver, 9 kills on the other. They both go down, though, and now that splash damage is gone.
Yeah, this is
He's going to be able to push all of this back.
I mean, Mini's starting to clear up this force in the top right. It's kind of amazing that he's still mining on that base up there. Is starting to get mined out on his main and natural around 18 minutes, which is standard. This is get a little bit wild. If Light can somehow keep the pressure on, like, there will be a sudden drop exponentially in the production of both players because of how many bases all dry up at once here. Light, though, because he's been like harassed a lot, his natural expansion will last a lot longer. Now a big assault, though, from Mini at his third base. Might be able to get this command today. Here come the Wraiths. He scans, sees no observer, starts to target fire these carriers down with his Gemini missiles. If he can get a lot of damage in quickly, this observer has no speed. He's going to take a lot of time to get it. He's going to get at least 2 of these carriers. Eventually, this observer will show up, though. He needs to scan quickly and identify it.
Here comes the observer. Is there going to be a scan? No, he lost about 3 carriers there, but he still has a reasonable force. And now that he knows about it, the Wraith play will not be nearly as efficient and as effective at taking down these carriers. Another scan comes down. He's going to get another carrier. I'm really surprised to see the observer wasn't with the carriers at that all-important moment. Meanwhile, Light is pushing through. He's killing off so many bases. He's shutting down all the mining of Mini, and Light is losing bases of his own, but it's not nearly as fast, and he's forcing back the carriers, killing them off with these rates at the same time.
And critically, he has this natural expansion to go back to mining to get a little bit of extra drip feed into his economy if he needs to. Unlike Mini, doesn't have that luxury. He has to mine out on the map, which are easily assaulted from this point onwards. And there's a pretty big push here from Light. If he can get in there and cripple the last remaining bases of Mini, maybe he can just about do it. Currently ahead in supply, 136, 121. It might just be doable for Light.
That bottom left command center is so smart from Light at this critical juncture. There's no way that Mini can attack top right and get down to stop the mining in bottom left. So he's going to be getting some minerals coming in. Of course, Light is very low on money right now, just 150 minerals in the bank. He's got a supply lead, but it doesn't mean that much when there's carriers on the field. He's going to come in and try to snipe down one more carrier. Can he actually get it? I don't think so. There's too many observers, too many Dragoons covering this force. He will be pushed back again. Mini has money to keep on making units. For the time being, he can keep making carriers, but he's only got this one base, and so that money's going to dry up very quickly.
Yeah, a little unfortunate for Light there. He missed scans in the top right and didn't even see the observer, so missed opportunity there. If he had identified the observer with the scan, he could have sniped that observer and get on top of those carriers again, but was unable to do that, unfortunately. Yeah, a little bit of a weird situation. He also built a few more Wraiths, so we will be still kind of, you know, betting on this gambit of utilizing this anti-air force to kind of act as a quick response team to the threat of the carriers. Mini's going to have to build up his infrastructure a little bit, actually supply blocked, and not really mining a lot now. Main natural pretty much mined out, and the natural's killed as well, so taking that nexus and the natural not really worth it anymore because it's more or less already done anyway. A little bit awkward position for Mini with just his one mining base, and looks like Light is stabilizing.
That base in the bottom left, so important for Light. Such a good idea for him to snag that while most of the fighting was going on over here in the top right. That's actually saving him in this game because he didn't have mining anywhere else aside from there. So
yeah,
now that he's got that base rolling, he can continue to pump out units and stay ahead in supply for the time being. Some more probes going to be taken out, but not a lot of damage done here to Mini's tiny little economy. What remains,
yeah, I mean,
is going to continue to pump away, and he's going to get a few more carriers out. All he needs is a bunch of observers and wait up slowly. Like, time is on his side as long as he gets to 10 carriers.
Ooh, this is pretty good. Sniping an observer and a shuttle. Okay, we keep seeing plays like this all day. We're gonna be happy. Still no observer speed. This could come in critical. Just 2 slow observers escorting this infantry and carrier fleet currently. Light moving into position, getting to his rally point. Wraith's on the back foot right now, scouting for any maybe incoming units, and then he's gonna wrap around and come from a surprise angle.
Good start to go into the main base. That's an option. A lot of units are being brought forward to deal with this Dragoon force. Just pure Dragoon. Oh, he's almost losing an observer already. A third observer is going to come up. So important that he keeps these observers alive right now, and he's almost losing them to turrets. It's crazy.
Well, if the Goliaths can somehow kill the observers as well, that's another play. If he can identify those observers and get in close enough with his Goliaths to snipe them, and then the Wraiths come in as an afterthought, that also can pay dividends. But he needs to be very careful in how he executes this. You don't just want to go for something like that. You'll risk losing all of your Goliaths for free to those Dragoons. So you need to really be opportunistic and careful with how you move around. It's like the hardest thing is getting units up this ramp to defend the main production line against the carriers, because you have to decide how many Goliaths do I send into my main base and how many do I leave down here to protect the tanks.
Looks like he's made that decision a little bit incorrectly. A bunch of tanks go down and Zealots make their way into the bottom left. He's going to be able to shut down this base. That is very important, shutting down one of the last mining bases, and the mine could be huge. Oh, so close. Yeah. So close to a massive mine drag. Once again, switching into the main base. Mini is pulling Light apart. He's lowered his supply. You know, he was about 20 supply behind just a couple of minutes ago, and now He's just a little bit behind
mean,
Light. He's sneaking out a few more units, but he's losing his factory, so that's not going to last much longer.
This is looking like the Dune films, where they've got those shields, so you can't just go in and finish the player off right away, but Mini is slowly pushing his knife through the defenses of Light, and is getting closer and closer to his vital organs and making a mortal wound here. But look at this, Light! Big counter push coming out. There's 4 observers here to escort this fleet, but if he can snipe them, that'd be critical. He does get a little bit of damage on one of them, but they're moving into a safer pocket now. Much harder to get on top of those. Instead, just target firing down whatever they can. Interceptors at first, then going back onto carrier duty, because just so many interceptors, it's might as well just try and get a carrier kill at that point.
Only 2 tanks left. That was some amazing sniping there by Mini, just staying at the maximum range, using those mineral fields to block the Goliaths away from the carriers, and he picked off so many tanks in that army. These Dragoons are going to be super, super valuable.
Yeah.
Still, this gambit of having the race fly around and maybe catch onto some carriers could end up paying off big. Gonna dive on top of one of the carriers. He almost gets one, but it manages to stay alive, and the carrier number will continue to grow.
I mean, it's a very hard gambit to pay off now. There's just so much escorting the observers. Before, it was like a few carriers and that was it. Now there's a massive infantry squad of Dragoons to soften those up as they come in, and a massive fleet of carriers as well. Very difficult to come in and snipe these observers with those Gemini missiles like before, but still can manage to get that to go his way, just maybe not while they're out on the field. He's gonna have to like catch them off guard, or while they start to engage in a fight, and then come in from an angle. But I don't see it happening at the moment. He needs to somehow make this work, but it's going to be very difficult. Mini has a pretty sizable force here.
Only was ever able to get +2/+2 on these forces, and that's not gonna leave the
that's a pretty big deal.
Goliaths lacking a little bit.
Yeah.
In the fights coming up now, some Wraiths and a Vulture are going to get up to top right, and maybe able to kill all the probes. Yeah, he's just going to let all the probes die. So it's all going to come down to this fight. Mini has to win right now. His third base is just about out of money. There's like 1 mineral patch left. So he has to kill. He's going for broke here against the Goliaths, just fighting them straight up head to head. There's just enough Goliaths, though, I think, to win against the Interceptors. These Zealots might be able to change the fight, though. Diving in, jumping on top of the tanks. Maybe the infantry can do it. He's diving on top of everything. All the tanks are falling. Oh my gosh, with just 7 minerals in the bank. Has Mini actually done it?
I don't know. I think he has. There's just barely not enough critical mass to fight this back, unfortunately. There is still Wraiths. Somehow, if he can get the observer snipes, maybe. But look at this. 4 observers! And still so many Dragoons on the floor as well. Not enough tanks, though. Going to be buffering, helping out these Goliaths against the Dragoon fleet. But there's just not enough left to deal with the carrier fleet. Sorry. I don't know how he's going to deal with this. But the race can make all the difference. It's just with all these observers out there, he's gonna like struggle to find a gambit for these race to actually get something done here.
If it comes down to the very last
he's target firing the observers
moment. Oh my gosh, he got the observers? Did he get them all? Okay, there's 2 more. Okay. There's 2 more.
He scans for them. He knows where they are.
If we get down to like the very last couple of units, those Wraiths are gonna come in so handy.
Yeah.
Still pushing in here. Mini with no money left. 30 minerals in the bank. Is going to continue to take these fights. He's so low on interceptors. These are almost flying paperweights.
Right.
The carriers are out. GG!
He's done it!
Right. Oh my god. 2 amazing games. Back to back. Light able to clutch it out in the end. Absolutely crazy games from Light today.
Damn, son.
Holy.
Man, that was not an easy game.
I said back to back, but I forgot about that Hero versus Light game. It was Hero versus Stork, which was the insane first game, right? God damn, that was a good one.
I mean, no, honestly, like Light versus Hero was good as well because he did like really some good mind games. You know,
mind gamer.
Yeah, I would still say it's a pretty good game for that reason. mean, the game wasn't action packed, but
that last one was like best of 2024 material. I gotta throw that one in there.
That was pretty.
That one and the first game was pretty insane too.
Yeah, I would say so.
That was the next level
in terms of like how much action there was going back and forth. Yeah, for sure.
For sure. All right, Queen gonna get sent out. I'm really surprised that Sulky doesn't want to come out until the end every time. Maybe they've made that agreement or something.
Yeah, I don't know.
But he really could win that prize. It's got to be looking juicy at this point, right?
Yeah, I don't know if like maybe the Zerg players are like, you gotta let me play first, or it's just not fair if you go first. You know, I was on never get a chance.
Maybe. I feel like it's got to be something like that.
Yeah, maybe.
All right, let's go. Oh, shit, I might have to revise my best of 2024 list. Gotta add a couple more games. That Hero versus Stork game was insane.
Right.
And the Light versus Mini. Oh my god, what a game.
Fireworks, yeah, really, really insane stuff. Both players were playing pretty out of their mind as well. And to be able to beat that greedy of a Protoss is insane from Light. Like, most Terran players would just assume that would be a lost position and just not even bother. And Light somehow manages to turn it into a win. It's bonkers level of insanity.
Even after the initial Wraith was revealed, usually you only have that one moment to utilize the Wraiths, and then they're going to be kind of useless after that. Still managed to make it work somehow, some way, after only killing a couple of carries. It's crazy.
It's wild. It's really
the games that we get to witness in this tournament. This holiday season just keeps on giving, Sean.
I mean, I'm all about it, saying I do think that there is a higher average standard in the games in KCM compared to SSL. Like some of the best games you'll see in SSL, but the average game on KCM is way more of a banger.
I tend to agree with you on that. Now we've got Queen versus Light on the Crazy Zerg map. This is Kickback, which tends to go one way, and we're not shy about saying it.
Crazy Zerg.
It really does seem to be the way to play on this map, and I think that Zergs are really leaning into it now, especially after that Soul Key victory in SSL. It's like he just showed everybody exactly the best way to play here, and basically put the ball into the Terran court. You need to do something about this, and it seems like basically every Terran player has said, all right, bet, time to go gas. And in fact, Light is going to gas here.
Well, I do think Wraiths are super strong on this map as well. I'm just going to point that out there. I think that being aggressive as Terran is maybe one of your best options, especially when you get spawns like this. I think Wraiths are super good. Could work out for him as he wants to go for that. It might not be that though. It might be something a little bit more mid-rangey, kind of like might doing just like a 1-1-1 build, like a dropship and Wraiths into a more standard style. Or it could be a very full-on committal, just 2-port Wraith, try and kill Queen right here, right now. Who knows?
Uh-oh. I know what this is like. This is a problem.
This is a big problem.
First Overlord's gonna die. And losing your first Overlord is... it's not good. It's never a good feeling.
Nope.
But this is going to put Queen into a massive deficit and maybe into a death spiral.
I mean,
if he doesn't play this perfectly.
At a pro gamer level, I would say anyone but maybe Sulky or Hero is really struggling mentally after that loss. I think the only two Zergs that can handle something like that mentally are Sulky and Hero. Everyone else falls apart.
Yeah, it's terrible. It's happened to me recently in a game, and I can tell you it is so hard to come back, mentally, but just by the numbers, it is super tough. You're so far behind on where you want to be with your drone count. And then you have to add in the extra Overlord. The builds in ZVT are so tight. They are so tight.
Right. And
there's no room for wiggling at all.
We should quickly say that it affects Zergs more than the other race in the early game, because you can make more than just one drone at a time at these. But beautiful block, though, with these links. Doesn't get the other one, though. The other one gets inside the main base, has to pull drones off the line, and Light knows it. That's why he's going into this pocket up here, so he can micro back against the drones for longer. Needs to get behind the minerals and maybe like do a bit of like, you know, finessing, going one way then the other. Pretty good job from Queen to try and box this in, though. Almost getting it. Box into that corner. Light, though, just always dancing with death and threading the needle on his unit positioning here to do maximum denial of mining time, while also not really losing too much HP on this Vulture.
Oh, you know that Queen's face is so red at this point, but he does manage to catch it up here in the top right-hand corner. The unfortunate thing, though, is Wraiths coming in, this 2-port Wraith follow-up.
Wow.
And Queen is sitting here waiting for Aspire to finish. He didn't go into... he didn't make Burrow. So that's just about it. That's just about GG. You can see some drones even just sitting here idly over at the rally point. They're going to come up and just die at this natural here in a moment. Finally, some Scourge pop out. And these Wraiths are just going to make a run for it. He might be able to get one Wraith, potentially. But even if he does, I don't think that he'll be too mad about it.
Oh my gosh.
Just flying right through the Scourge.
Now,
hilarious. Light is going to get home.
Yeah. Now, in this situation, you can just target fire the Scourge down with the 2 high HP Wraiths to like guarantee not losing anything. But then you have to repair up 2 Wraiths potentially. So he tries to go for like the maximum value there. Can't say I blame him. But I mean, yeah, this is a really rough spot for Queen. He can go all in though. He will dive on top of these Wraiths. If he can start to lower the Wraith count right away like this will be huge for him. But he needs to get the Wraith count down low enough that it's much more manageable with how few drones he's got. And he's not quite able to do that. You see that Wraith surviving of red HP again. Gonna be swinging back around. 5 Mutas, 1 Scourge, trying to find some damage.
They can't do this. He can't stay with the Mutas. The Wraith cloak is done.
Yeah.
Queen needs to go home. If he stays any longer, he will lose everything. So he was gambling with death right there, trying to get a couple of kills on those Wraiths just before the cloak finished. I think he might have gotten 1. Did he get 1 there, Shun?
He did get 1. I think 1 in total in the whole fight.
1 is not enough.
Nope.
This is such a huge deficit.
Yeah, it's really bad. He did almost get another one, though. 1 was on red HP, but, you know, Light's been on top of his repairs as well, so these Wraiths will be back to full HP soon, and going out in full force to put on the pressure. If he can get some lucky snipes with the Scourge, maybe Queen can mount a comeback, but if Light's on top of his Wraith micro, like, one connection there. See, if he can get a few connections like this, then he's sitting golden. But Light is tentative. He will go back and repair these Wraiths up there on low HP.
Wow, he just got a bunch of hits there. Kind of surprising.
Yeah.
We will have to go back home and repair those. Queen droning up a little bit now. Not going to find these Wraiths. He's actually heading out on the map with the Mutas, but the Overlord is a little bit far behind. Overlord speed should finish soon, so he can get a little bit more active on the map, but he really did need to add on a few drones after losing so much in the early game.
Yeah, a few of those Scourge getting sniped as well. Needs to guard this Overlord with his life, because if this Overlord goes down, there's so much zone space for the Wraiths to exploit. Can instead ignore that Overlord and try and get the other one before the speed is done. Speed just finishes up, so he's not going to be able to save that. Might get the snipe on 1 HP, doesn't quite find that. Unfortunately, with the regeneration, you need perfect connections. You're not going to get it. Gets the 1 HP regenerate every single time. Does now cloak, but with the Overlord speed, he needs to be very careful, and Queen is starting to mount a little bit of a comeback here, but he's still not out of the woods completely.
He could do a pretty aggressive all-in right now if he just builds a ton of Scourge and some Mutas and goes across the map. He's supply block, though. Oh, dude, Queen is supply blocked at this critical juncture. He's going to be diving on top of some turrets. He's waiting for an Overlord to pop so he can spend that 600 gas that's just waiting to be spent back at home. He does kill a supply block, so Light in a similar situation, he can't build anything, but all he really needs to build is turrets right now, and he's doing just that.
Yeah, I think he's just barely got enough that he won't die to Queen, and this is a problem now, because he can go on the counterattack with these Wraiths and start killing all these Overlords again. Now Queen is yet again supply blocked, can't do anything, and with only 2 base economy, we'll start to fall behind dramatically in the ebb and flow of this game, now that Light is securing his own expansion, right now being set up.
This is a hard game to watch as a Queen fan. I mean, this is 2-time ASL champion Queen getting a little bit embarrassed in this game.
Yeah.
From start to finish, things went wrong. With the initial run by of the Vultures and not able to track that down for so long, losing so many workers, and then the Wraith follow-up without Burrow. He didn't start Burrow after that Vulture run by. That's a typical maneuver now in 2024, is just to immediately go for Burrow once you see what kind of style it's going to be from the Terran. And now getting supply blocked while attacking in with it's gone so terribly bad, Shun.
Sometimes I think he's a victim of success. Like, he had such a good run in previous years that people paid a lot of attention to him, and now that he's not quite performing on the same level, they figured him out so well, and he's not performing to the same standard. It's like a double whammy that he's not quite able to compensate for.
It looks like he's just going to try and all in again. This time he's opened up some supply. He is, again, supply block, but he's going to try and dive in with the Scourge and Mutas, just get as many kills as he can. Try to bait in the Wraiths to actually take a fight with the Scourge so that he can get some shots off, but all the Scourge go down. The Wraiths just expertly microed during this fight. Another round of Mutas makes its way to the front. He's getting some great glaives onto these Wraiths, but the Wraiths are starting to come out ahead, and the turrets are adding in that extra damage. Continuing to build turrets is all that Light really needs to do to eventually take this game, because Queen has nothing else going for him back at home. He has to win with this fight, or he will go out of this game, and there goes the last few Mutas. They've mostly died off here, and the Overlords are soon to follow.
It's a shame that Queen just doesn't have the APM or the interaction speed to manually target fire individual Wraiths and find the low HP ones there, because it was too dangerously low on HP for such a long time. He never picked them off. Really unfortunate from him. Hasn't found that critical damage to get that tempo going, to get on top of the Terran production and shut down Light. Light is now going to stabilize and blow up in his ability to put on a counterattack soon, and Queen just won't be able to stop him.
It's so funny. Oh, actually, we're going to have another dive in here. I wanted to say something, but Queen heading into the natural. He's going to try and pick off a few SCVs. He knows how desperately far behind he is at this point. He just needs to get something done. He can't sit back idly and allow Light to just stabilize and build all the turrets that he wants to and get into the next stage of this game, which is going to be a Marine follow-up that I don't think Queen will have any chance of dealing with. If those Marines start to pile up and he gets a good force of bio out, there's no shot here for Queen. He has to make it happen now.
He can make Sunkens at the front, and then Light can just make a dropship. There's no way for Queen to deal with this cost efficiently. He has to rely on air superiority alone to have map control, to be able to guarantee a good game state, and he was not finding it at the moment. The Wraith micro of Light just a little bit too frustrating for him to deal with. It's not quite the best Wraith micro we've ever seen from Light, but it is up to his usual standard of being pretty good.
So hard to deal with these. Oh man, it's just they've done so much damage to these Wraiths. He is picking off a lot of these Marines, hitting what he can, but the Wraiths are staying just out of range at every moment and getting shots off every time these Mutalisks come in. They're so low on that HP now, and really there's nothing left here for Queen. All he's been doing is making mutas for the past 5 minutes, and he's going to dive in with this last force and GG out. Light takes another game. That is not the way that I expected TVZ to shake out on Kickback, but it seems like this is the way it's gone. At the beginning, I expected certain things out of Kickback, and the last thing that was in my mind was that Terran players were going to have to go for a gas build and 2-port Wraith every single game, or some sort of variant of that, maybe some sort of a mech play on Kickback. That was not what I expected, but that's part of the beauty of StarCraft, is that we get to investigate these new maps and find what is strong and how to play these out perfectly. Light seems to have found the right balance here and taken down Queen.
Right. So what happened at the start? So Hero B. Okay, Stork. Sorry, Light can't get an all kill on Protoss, right? Because of Stork getting taken out by Hero. So he has to kill Best and then Sulky to get the all kill on Zerg. That's the only way he gets an all kill, right?
Yeah, that's right.
Okay.
Gotta say, it's been a long time since we've seen a Light streak quite like this, already taking out 3 players in this lineup.
Yeah, I mean, he can't get the all kill by killing Best here, but if he somehow does dispatch of this shiny coated ape, then maybe, just maybe, he can take out Sulky in the final game and get that all kill prize. It's definitely possible. Light is on an absolute streak right now. He's probably feeling good. His hands are already hot. He's going to be playing out of his mind compared to his usual standard just because of how in momentum he is and how much wind is at his back.
It's amazing to see Light shine in such a all-star lineup. Really, we got the best of the best in this week of KCM, and already taking out a ton of strong players. 3 strong players in a row now going up against Best. This might be his biggest challenge.
Yeah, I feel like this is 15 years ago when this kid used to just like all kill on Pro League all the time. Like back in the day, Light was just schooling everyone. Hasn't been the case for a very long time. He's a very well-respected player, has so much game knowledge. He's the Terran to go to if you want to know something. Flash is a very good player, but Flash not nearly the level of intellectual genius that is Light.
Light putting that genius to work in this week. What does it take to beat the bowler cap, though? Is he going to be able to outsmart Best? Best actually finding a way into this base after all those footsies. Some good blocking from Light there, but finally Best finds a way in. He's just not going to be able to steal the gas, though.
Yeah. Everything will be happy from both sides. Best gets the information, but Light doesn't get gas stolen. Everything is just about where both players are probably comfortable with, though. So nothing too crazy thus far. Although he will be last scouting Best here, so he has no idea this is a 12 Nexus or what. Like, he has absolutely no idea.
Yeah, going around this map the wrong direction, unfortunately. He spent a lot of time trying to block out that probe, so this scout is exceptionally late on top of heading in the wrong direction. Now, Best is not doing something like a Nexus first. He's playing pretty middle of the road. He's playing a pretty normal build with a Zealot coming across to put on a bit of light pressure. We'll see if he commits with that and tries to get some kills on these Marines. But Light has a very nice setup on the top of that ramp. He's got a good place to micro with the barracks supply depot set up. Yeah. He shouldn't take too much damage here. Light going to set up his factory on high ground, and is that actually a CC on high ground as well? I didn't get quite a view on that.
I'm not entirely sure. I don't know.
Oh my god! Oh my god!
He's 2 factory. This is kind of crazy. He's gonna get. He doesn't get in as well though. This is pretty huge. He doesn't see the second factory critically, so this is in a way good because now Best will think this is a normal ebb and flow of a game, and if he can't quite win high enough that he can actually get into the main base to scout the second factory, this could pay off a lot.
I am shocked to see Light go for this play, for the 2 factory play, with no information at all. He hasn't seen anything. Well, he hadn't seen anything at all. And you could tell that he wasn't expecting the Zealot, because he just was not ready for the moment that came in. He pulled back so sloppily. He lost a Marine immediately. And now he's got to be feeling a lot of pressure here. Like, what am I actually going to be able to do with this? Am I going to be able to win this game? How am I going to win this game with a 2 factory against a build that I was not expecting at all? It's going to be just Light winging it from here,
well,
which is not the way that the series played out so far.
He's going to make it look like a strong FD, which will, like, you know, maybe make Best feel pretty comfortable with his position that he's got 2 gateways. But if he doesn't identify that it's a 2 factory and make shield batteries and stuff like that, or pull probes off the line to help, maybe there's a window where Light can get in there and exploit him. He's getting double upgrades right now. Does want to wait a little bit of time before he reveals his exact game plan. Best is expecting a strong FD push right now and doesn't see it, so maybe a little bit confused, but might start to sniff this out in a few moments here.
Well, I'm a bit surprised to see Best sitting all the way back at home, not trying to kite this across the map. Or if he was doing that, he might be able to identify what's actually coming, but it's not going to be revealed to him until the army is right here in the natural. I think you're right. He might get completely blindsided by this. As it comes into his natural, the vultures and tanks will finally reveal the fact that he's got 2 factories and double upgrades rolling. And Best, I mean, he is going to be in a world of hurt here if he's not able to take this fight perfectly.
Yeah, I think so. Starts to put a lot of damage down onto that middle Dragoon, already on half HP. Good target firing here from Light, isolating these individual Dragoons. Probes coming off the line. Big mine connections, not splashing his own units critically. Does take out the Zealot. Now still some pretty good target firing from Light, but most of his Marines have dried up, so the phase disruption shots now can start to put damage onto more critical units like these Vultures and Mines, and eventually those tanks as well. So far, Light doing a pretty okay job with this attack, but Best is also dealing with this pretty cost efficiently.
I really like Best just pulling the probes instantly there to start to body block and add some more damage. Tank some shots as well. He knows that he's going to be in a good position as long as he lives in this game, so losing a few probes is not the biggest deal. Great mine connection there, pulling the Dragoon out of the pack and setting it in against the mines. Turned out to be a great choice. Really good control there from Best.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, Light has lost a third of his tank power in this game.
He's at risk of getting more and more mine drags as well. There's mines behind this tank as well as more being laid in the wake of it. Needs to be very, very careful with his positioning of his units. Sometimes you'll see turn players even kill their own mines in these situations. He's even isolating this tank even further north against this mine. I don't know. He's playing with fire right now. Best probably won't get in there and abuse that. He sees it now with the Observer. He might be thinking about some possible shenanigans, but he's starting to clear up these forces now, maybe waiting on a shuttle to finish up, but instead trying to use the probes to come out and put some extra particle beam shots onto these mines. Only 20 HP a mine, so 4 shots with the probe does kill a mine. Pretty good target firing on these tanks as well. Best has just barely got enough to break through this Terran push.
Beautifully done with the probes, and Best really realizing exactly what needs to be done to break this attack. And although he did lose a few probes, he's going to be feeling just fantastic at this point with Light starting his CC back at home. He lost 3 tanks, and he completely lost the initiative in this game.
Yeah, I think this is going to be a Best victory here. He's just dealt with that attack so flawlessly. I'm kind of blown away by just how min-max is. He even got a few Dragoons waiting behind to catch these 2 Vultures perfectly with that body block as well. Look at Best go. Definitely with the bowler cap on today. Thinking monkey. This is no usual gorilla.
I am truly shocked that Light decided to go for a 2 factory play in this situation on this map. It's almost like he's tired. Yeah, the old man wants to lie down.
Yeah,
he doesn't want to play anymore, and so he's just given up. This opens up the opportunity for Best. Maybe I mean we're counting our chickens a little bit too early. Maybe as you know, Best could mess something up really really brutally, but he's gonna dive on these last 2 tanks, pick them off. And indeed, I think he's for sure going to be going forward in this series. Oh my gosh, quite a lot of Dragoons end up going down, but he's just delaying this so much. And every second of delay that Best is able to do on this CC is so massive.
Yeah, Best is like the best in the business, pun intended, of just breaking through Terran positions, regardless of what game state it is and with what units, especially if it involves Dragoons, Zealots, and tanks. He's probably going to be finding the best way of cost-efficiently breaking you apart piece by piece, brick by brick, and eventually you'll just be strangled out of the game without the tank count to fight back. He's trying to screen with the SCVs, but not quite getting the body blocks that he needs. He's getting some pretty good surface area on that CC GG tank on the top of the ramp there and kills that. Pretty good surround with those Dragoons, on the Dragoons with the SCVs though, so Light is still clearing up these forces, but Best is just keeping the count of tanks reduced while also denying mining that natural all of that time. Now Light has finally started to stabilize, but look at the supplies right now, 65 to 35. I mean, this is not ideal for our Terran player.
Absolutely not ideal. Can say that again, Shun. Shuttle is out, and Zealots will be loaded up here shortly. A Bulldog makes perfect sense to just dive on this and take it out. There's no reason to sit back and try to play a long game at this point. It just gives Light opportunities to find ways back into this game with drops or Vulture run-bys or whatever.
Right.
Building a bunch of Zealots right now, putting them in the shuttle and just going for the kill, you're going to get tanks no matter what. You're going to get kills no matter what, and most likely you're just going to run Light over completely and win this game. Here he comes, Best with the Reaver as well. Little insurance policy there that at least he'll be able to, juggle that around and deal a bunch of damage if this Bulldog doesn't just kill outright.
It's going to be a 5-tank push from Light, trying to establish himself in this game, but right as the Reaver is arriving to sandbag the push, needs to be very careful here. Does siege up, but that's not going to be good news for him as this Reaver comes out. He gets a beautiful 2-for-1 connection with that Scarab. Second one going to be closing the deal on that and securing both. Now the Dragoon's trying to isolate some of these tanks. Beautiful blocking with the Vultures to screen those, though, so Light is hanging on. He's very good at positioning his units, but it's still not going to be enough in this game. 45 spy to 73, and we have the third expansion being taken from Best to kind of have some kind of compensation and also, like, out cards. If he can't quite get the job done now, he'll still have a lot of outs to play with in the next coming phase.
Somehow he managed to kill that Reaver. I'm not exactly sure how that worked out for Light as well as it did. I really did think that he was just going to straight up die in a moment, and now he's got a couple more probe kills.
Did you see him done over at the Vulture? Do you see that little dance back and forth with the Vulture?
Crazy.
How crazy is this guy? What are we even watching?
I mean, he's put himself into the worst position possible, just about, and where he's still actually alive. This is as bad as it gets, while still somehow having a minuscule chance.
Right. This is about as it's playable.
Oh my gosh, it's mine.
Okay,
Ooh.
that's something. That's something.
3 tanks are pushing out. This is such a small force, but he's trying to put the pressure on the Best, force him into a bad fight at some point, but 2 Reavers come out. Maybe if those Reavers drop out and both die, there's a chance he can make this push work.
Well,
but
he's kind of,
other than that,
he's kind of counting on that, right? He's kind of counting on a blunder here from Best, and that might happen. Some Protoss players do blunder with their Scarab control and Reaver control, but not Best right now. Sniping off that tank critically, has the Dragoons waiting out on the field. He can also cut off reinforcements with these as well, while the Scarabs keep delaying the tank push. Going to be going into the natural expansion momentarily here. There's nothing back here besides 2 mines to defend against this.
Yeah, I think this is a great choice. You know that the opponent doesn't really have much, and a counterattack just forces the Terran to push forward faster.
Right.
Gives you an even better position. The probes are gonna take some probe losses, of course, but the amount of damage that's being done by the Dragoons in the counterattack is kind of insane. Eventually, these Vultures will be cleaned up, and look at that command center about to go down. There it goes.
Ashiba.
And this just went from bad to worse.
Yeah, what can you do, man? This is just awkward now for Light. I mean, technically the game is winnable in the sense of, like, Best has to play like a sausage monkey and Light has to play like a god. It's technically winnable, but we're talking like sub 1% right now.
Yeah, 1%. I think I might put the number around the same. Light gonna push down the ramp. Oh, he's taking quite a few losses on these tanks at the same time. Zealot's gonna be dropped on the tanks in the aggressive army. Good target firing on the Dragoons in the back, but everything does get cleaned up, and the third base survives, Shun. So we're talking 1 CC versus 3 Nexus at this point.
It's so rough. I mean, you can't... I mean, if you somehow kept your units alive and you traded cost efficiently, you could do it. It's just he never will. Best is just so good at killing tanks, and GG has to be called. Finally, Best snuffs out that Light, and we're going to be seeing Best versus Sulky. Wow. I mean, Best is pretty good at comebacks, so even if Sulky does well initially, this could be an exciting game.
Well, we might have just found the one possible scenario where Sulky can get an all kill. Oh wait, no, he can't. He can't get an all kill because Light's gone. Yeah. Light's gone. So Best is the only one who can get an all kill. But what are the chances that Best beats Sulky and then the rest of the Terrans?
The beating the Sulky is the hardest thing. He can definitely beat the other 2 Terrans, but beating Sulky right here and right now, that's the tall order.
Yeah, that's the tall order. I'm just gonna take a quick pee. I'll be right back.
All right, me too. Bye bye. Yeah, I'm back. Whew. How you guys doing in the chat? You enjoying the KCM game so far? I'm really ill, by the way, but I'm doing my best to hide it for the recording. I'm seriously not feeling well. I hope it's not too obvious in my car.
Yo.
What it do, boo boo?
Let's go.
Let go.
With Best taking out Light, he is the last player with the possibility of getting an all kill, but it's a long shot. Sulky standing in his way with this guy in the lineup. It's almost assumed to be a Zerg win for the week, but crazier things have happened. There's still Sharp and Royal as well.
Wow.
Waiting in the wings, and Best is looking very good. So let's see what can happen.
9 pull from Sulky right off the bat. Okay, so Sulky's the kind of guy, he's happy to play from behind. He doesn't need to kill you with this 9 pull. This is just a guarantee, no weird game state he can't account for. Sometimes he puts on these pressure builds early on, expecting to play from behind if he guesses wrong. But if he guesses right, suddenly you're punished. Does scout that 9 pull though, Best.
You will see that. He'll be able to min-max appropriately in this opener. Likely a Forge, and just the cannon coming down in time to ensure that this gets no damage. But like you said, Sulky is fine with this. He is completely happy with being in a slight deficit in the early game because he knows that he can make that up as time goes on. He is the best in the business at basically every point in the game. When it comes to like late game, he's the best with Hive play. He's the best at Hydra Bus. He's the best of the best.
I think this comes from him used to being a micro-based player. Like back in the day, he was the guy that was always going like 12 pool lair straight into like all-in 2-hatch muta against players like Flash. That was like his style. But these days, he's such a well-rounded player. But because he figured out the game on like a more fundamental, smaller economy level, he's so comfortable navigating these weird game states. And I think that stems from his early beginnings.
You don't get this level of confidence from just being a strong micro player or a strong macro player. This confidence comes from being utterly dominant, and he's asserted that dominance over the past 3 seasons of ASL, and the past 2 seasons of ASL and the first season of SSL, and basically no one can stand in his way. So. Will Best be able to take a single game off him? Anything can happen in one game.
Yeah.
It's not a best of 5 series, so let's see what Best can pull out with this early lead.
Now, Best is usually really good at coming back in PvZs, but it's so hard to come back against someone like Sulky. You don't want to let this guy get ahead of you. Like, you want this guy behind you the entire way, and even then it might be an uphill battle.
Yeah, it's hard to pull the wool over Sulky's eyes. He is at a conceptual level just so incredibly strong.
4 hatch before gas. I love it.
4th hatch in the main base. Interesting. So we're gonna see a Hydra base play. No commitment to going into Spire early on here. I've seen this a lot from Sulky. He really likes to go Hydra early.
Yeah.
And prioritize drones, and then switch into Mutalisk when you're not expecting it.
This is how I like to play ZVP Say, and that's why I'm so excited. This is like my go-to style. This 4-minute gas timing, where you just get 4 hatcheries right off the bat. You used to make 5 hatcheries before gas, but now you need the gas a little bit sharper timing to deal with just how crisp the build orders from Protoss are. So you do get the gas slightly earlier than you usually would. You go 5 hatch before gas, but this is more or less the same thing, just optimizing that Hydra Den timing a little bit more.
It's going to get that Hydra Den here in a moment. Best has a Zealot for a bit of pressure, but there are Lings already, and is also going to be blocking the probe out of the natural at the same time. Preventing that scouting information is key right now, because there's a potential for Sulky to do like a storm timing where he comes across the map with kind of an insane number of Hydras and just breaks you open. That's not going to be as fast as a 973, but it's pretty darn fast, and it's fast enough to beat that storm timing.
Yeah, you're hitting them at like 8 minutes, which is just before storm. And that's what's so strong about this build, is you can either do a macro play and make crazy amounts of drones and hatcheries, or you can make less drones and go for like a 4-hatch timing play and just try and bust them. So they don't really know what's coming. That's why you have to be really active with your Zealots like this, coming in there, killing a drone, seeing how many drones are being made is also the other important thing here. Like if he sees only 6 drones maximum made at this 3rd base, he might be smelling a 4-hatch Hydra play or something.
A little bit surprising that Sulky pulled all the Lings to go and chase that one probe, but great by Best for keeping that alive and slipping in the Zealot while Sulky was distracted. Now the Corsair's out and gonna kill an Overlord before they can all be pulled back to the natural. These Hydras are out to start the defense, but 2 more Zealots are on the map, and the Lings are on the other side. This could be a dangerous situation Sulky finds himself in. A 5th hatch goes down, but he just doesn't have the forces back at home to deal with this. He just now sees the Zealots. He's going to bring back the Zerglings immediately. But you would love to have these to body block for the Hydras. They don't have speed. They don't have range. It's going to be a hard fight here to keep everything alive.
Now, as long
as
Sulky doesn't lose too much here, though, he will be sitting pretty, just because of how much extra lava he's got. Like, losing drones isn't as big of a deal. Like, you usually oversaturate drones when you play this style, so he'll probably expect to make a few extra drones anyway, so you won't take as big of a tempo swing from killing drones. But so far, Sulky doing a pretty good job of not losing any. Oh, might just barely lose this one, though. Pretty good target firing from Best.
Amazing target firing from Best there. He knew that the drone was going to head in that direction, so he preemptively moved forward to stay in range there. Excellent, excellent play from him. Sulky is now heading across the map, but right as he does, the Corsairs come in to look for some Overlord kills. He's going to force Sulky back again. So he's just doing a great job of ping-ponging Sulky back and forth across the map this entire game.
This is like on chess where you just establish your bishop to pin a unit down or something, so you don't want that knight moving anywhere. And it's kind of like that. Like you can force the Hydras to stay pinned, and if they do move out, you have an opportunity to come in and punish that. Looks like Hydra wants to pull the trigger on these Hydras, though, putting pressure on the wall. The forge is well protected, but the gateway isn't, and he needs to throw down at least 2 or 3 more cannons here because he knows there's a possibility of just pure Hydra production coming at that pre-storm timing.
It's pretty scary to have this few cannons at this point in the game. Sulky is so scary with his Hydra busts, and he's got more Hydras coming across the map. He's managed to get the Overlord to the front as well.
Yeah.
With a good defense. And 8 minutes, it's right on the line here.
Yeah, Templars are
this
out.
is the timing. Templars are out, but they don't have Storm. They don't have energy either.
A few more seconds.
Just another minute, yeah. There's a DT coming to the front just to buy a tiny bit of time. Can he stay alive here for a few more seconds? I think, actually, with Sulky not pulling the trigger just yet, he's actually just going to sit back and re-drone from this position.
I think Sulky...
Kind of... Yeah.
I think he was considering it, but I think he saw that, okay, maybe 7 cannons and Templars might just barely be finished up on energy. Okay, I'll let you get away with it. But you had to pay a lot of money into those defenses. That's a lot of cannons that could have been gateways. And now with how much lava we've got available to us as Sulky, we can make so many drones and Hydras at our leisure here. Kind of the world is our oyster. He's going to be throwing down that Spire just to make sure the tech is available so we can make Scourge when we need to. And maybe an important muta switch later on. We have a lot of gas banked right now, so he has killed a lot of these Corsairs. He might be thinking about a muta switch in the coming phases and then going into the flock of Hydras after the Templars have been sniped.
The muta switch is a Sulky special. He is so good at suddenly throwing those in at an improper time for the Protoss player to deal with. I'm not sure if the Spire was seen. Of course, Protoss units have a uncanny vision range, but I'm not sure if even those Corsairs flying by were able to see. If he makes continues to make Corsairs, though, I think we can firmly say that he knows. However, this drop has not been spotted. Sulky surrounding the Zealots out on the map. He's going to force them back into the wall, but this drop could deal infinite damage. This is a DT, possibly a Templar in there as well.
Yeah.
There's just one DT, okay.
If he's not paying attention, he's distracted at this main base assault that he's doing right now. Like, this is going to be... Oh, he sees it! Just going to lose like 2 or 3 drones. That's not too bad. Gets the rest out of there. Not too big of a loss, but the lost mining time is pretty painful now. Does have to pull his army back to deal with this. So he doesn't have to worry about like microing on 2 fronts here and risk getting stormed for free when he's not paying attention and getting his Hydras around or something.
Yeah, that's a good point. You don't want to be paying attention here back at home and getting your drones back to mining at the same time. Eat a surprising storm. It looks like the shuttle will end up going down. Without the speed, it can never get away, so that will end up falling. But the DT stays alive, and it's now out on the map just looking around. That was some decent play. There's decent value there from Best.
Yeah.
Getting in there and forcing the drones away, getting a couple of kills, and then heading out. Well worth the 200 minerals for that shuttle.
Now, in this next minute, we could see a muta switch. If he gets, like, say, 9 or 10 mutas out, and we'll see some High Templar snipes, this game could just be turned on its head instantly, and we could be seeing Best absolutely beheaded by Sulky here. But it's going to be a tough position to accomplish. Best is pretty good still. He will do a good job of escorting around these High Templars around the map, building quite a high count. He's actually going out prematurely. Hasn't actually got a lot of Dragoons with this army yet. This might be a mistake from Best to move out so early on without that much Dragoon support. He is at more risk than usual at losing these High Templars to these mutas in a moment here, but maybe he's thinking the mutas aren't on their way quick enough. He's trying to get Sulky out of position earlier on before he's had enough time to build that muta count up.
There are no lurkers in this force. It's just going to be Sulky relying on a high ground fight to win this pure Hydra versus a lot of Dragoon, Zealot, and High Templar. Pretty good splitting so far, but one storm lands heavily on those Hydras on the ramp. I think maybe somehow Sulky's still going to hold this, though. That's crazy.
Yeah. It's such a wide arc of units. It's almost impossible to get good value with those storms there, or at least get good enough value. But it seems like Best will eventually start to wither through the forces of Sulky. It's just with the mutas in the air, it's a little bit annoying. And even sniping those Corsairs with some Scourge. Really nicely done from Sulky. And now look at this beautiful target firing, just whittling down individual Dragoons and never allowing him to reach that critical siege mass that he needs to keep launching assaults onto Sulky.
Yeah, really targeting down the Dragoons. Sulky showing us the way. When this situation gets desperate like this, you really need to focus down the Dragoons. They are the real siege breakers.
Yeah, the siege
for the Protoss army. And so if you can take them out, then the Zealots will be easily cleaned up by the Mutalisks later on. Diving on top of this evolution chamber, the Hydras are going to be jumped upon, but it's not the greatest surface area here for the Zealots, and they're taking so much damage from the sky. I think that Sulky's just barely going to be able to hold this off without losing his drone count, and most of the army's already been eliminated here for Best.
It's such a tight hold from Sulky. He's just barely dealing with this efficiently. He's traded more or less like 50-50 down the wire, but because of the air superiority, it's just barely tipping into his scales of favor. And now we see a win percentage for him shooting up like a skyrocket, now at like a 80+ or so % win rate for him, I would say, given the current game state, just because of how strong he is once he gets into his full swing in the mid game.
I'm not so sure I agree. We've got the third base done. There's no real counterattack possible with these mutas. He can try and dive in here, but he's hidden a Templar underneath the Corsair, which is a really high, big brain play by Best. Let's see if he can get a great storm. Oh, great storm there. Fantastic storm.
Oh my gosh.
I'm surprised more Protoss players don't do this.
Yes.
Because that is such a strong maneuver from him. You cannot snipe that Templar, and you mostly can't even see it. So you're going to be able to get damage onto those mutas almost no matter what. And now the muta count has been damaged so heavily. There's no fourth base. Best is sitting pretty at the moment.
Yeah, he's going to be trying to do a third base attack right now, but there's enough Dragoons and Storm here that he should think better of it and run between his tails. It didn't quite catch this. Oh, that's a big storm. Ooh. That's a juicy storm right there. That might just trigger Best into thinking about another counter attack. It's still Battle Zerg mode from Sulky. 3 bases. Yeah, you're right. I kind of misunderstood the game state a little bit. I thought he was just going to dive into the main base with that stack of mutas and easily kill that Templar, 1 cannon and 1 Corsair and get on top of the Protoss production, but he was much more timid about it, and because he was so timid, it was like the storm did even more damage because how cautious he was being. More Protoss players need to do that, and now look at this brave move out from Best. He knows he just needs to keep the gas pedal down all the way now and just melt away at the Zerg as much as possible, get to the front lines and start skirmishing and lay siege to the rally point.
I think this is a numbers game at this point. Sulky, his finesse can only get him so far. He's trying to run around with the mutas and snipe a couple of Templar because it's really the only way that Zergs can start to come back from a deficit like this. 4 or 5 drones just went down at the third base as well to that one single Zealot that went running around the side. Another base is going to come up for Best, and Sulky is stuck between a rock and a hard place. He has to expand or attack. He can't just sit here, but he can't afford to do either.
I mean, Best is respecting the mutas out on the map right now. That's why we saw his army pull back like that. He knows these mutas could counterattack into the main base and spell disaster for him and get on top of his production. It'd be super annoying, so he needs to keep his army fluid and in a much more mid-range state out on the board so he can respond to threats whenever he needs to, rather than trying to put on any pressure right now. We'll give a little bit of oxygen to Sulky to make enough army to attack the third base, but I don't think it's going to be enough. I mean, Sulky just doesn't have enough right now. Maybe, though, Best might be caught out of position. If he kills some of these High Templars, it would be huge.
High Templar going to be sniped there. Second High Templar does go down. That was so important that he managed to get some critical snipes before this fight. Now going to try and come up this ramp. Maybe if he can loop around and start to snipe Templar as they're coming up for the defense, he's going to go ahead and jump on top of these, getting 1, 2, 3 Templar over on this side, but he hasn't been able to push up this ramp just yet. All the Hydras are getting stuck here, and this force will be pushed back as long as Best maintains game state and doesn't lose one of these bases while preventing Sulky from taking a fourth. This game is his. Attack over here towards the natural now. Sulky trying desperately to make something happen, but there's going to be storms. Great snipe there. Great dodge on some of these storms, but look at that. A bunch of Hydras explode in the back line, and there are so many units for Best, like, shoving forward 100 supply advantage.
Best is just looking so dapper today. Like, I mean, how is he doing this? How is he dominating in this fashion against Sulky of all people as well? This is absolutely wild what we're witnessing right now. I'm completely blown away by how this game has fallen from through Sulky's fingers like this. Best is doing a phenomenal job. Usually don't see him in such a commanding position in PvZ, and against Sulky, that's even more insane. GG finally called by Sulky. You can hear just how much the announcers are happy about that performance, because Best might just go all the way and get that all-kill prize. He's so good at PvT. Now he can take out Sharp and Royal.
The long shot chance we were discussing earlier of Best taking out Sulky, and 2 Terran players might come to pass.
Yeah, it's crazy.
What an insane turn of events. What a surprise, a shocker with Best taking down Sulky. We're going to go into our next game. Dude, this is a great week of KCM already, and I'm ready for more. Let's jump into that next one. Well, that took a turn. Holy.
Yeah. I feel like absolute shit, but the games are so entertaining that I'm able to still lock in and do an okay job casting, even though I feel terrible. I'm happy about that.
Yeah, you sound fine.
Yeah. But it's,
considering.
It's because the games are so good that I can still lock in and be distracted, you know what I mean?
Yeah. I mean, it's a great distraction. Broodwar has always been there for me when I needed distracting. And here we go. Sharp versus Best. To save Royal for last. If we do indeed get that far. At 2,600,000 won. It's gotta be
it's a lot of cheese, man.
Tempting. That's tempting to Best right now. Maybe he's just gonna have to all kill and actually take that prize.
I mean, the amount of momentum behind him now after being Sulky, he's got to be like trying not to do backflips while he's doing his build order, right? Like, this is insane. He's like, and he's against Terran only now. Like, this is the dream.
He shut down Light, and his run looked crazy. Like his run this week was looking so fantastic, but it was really just the springboard for Best to take over his momentum and move into this series with more speed than even Sulky could match. That is crazy that we managed to see Sulky get taken down into KCM. I wasn't sure was it gonna happen, man.
Yeah,
at all this year.
And just to reiterate to our viewers, like, I mean, Sulky was doing the equivalent to 12 Nexus in DVP, so he had a crazy economy in that game and still couldn't get the job done. And he's a macro monster, so it's kind of wild.
Oh, with the four hatcheries early, right?
Yes, yeah.
Except with Nexus first, you don't have to sacrifice any tech.
True.
For hatchery, you do sacrifice some tech. You're not going to get the Spire out early.
I would say you get even more economy to compensate because you got extra lava.
Right. You can really crank out those drones, and Best just did a great job of controlling that game. Getting those Zealots in over and over again. It was impressive and surprising to say the least that Sulky was able to be outmaneuvered like that.
Yeah.
Or that Best was able to outmaneuver Sulky like that. That it really speaks to his caliber and his affinity in this game. Like, it's crazy to see it Best do this well, but he's going to be getting a Nexus first here against Sharp and getting himself into a good position once again. Will Sharp be able to overcome him? Because he is a finesse player as well.
Yeah, I mean, cross-map Nexus first. We all know how strong that is for Protoss, so he's going to be feeling good about the game state currently. Sharp, I don't know. Like, sometimes Sharp does have these crazy fast gas timings of 11 gas that he can get a Vulture in there and punish you before Dragoons come out and defend. With cross map, though, that's way difficult to pull out because those few extra seconds that you would usually have on a map like Radion, cross map don't no longer exist, and the timing window ceases to even be a thing you can go for.
And indeed, he did not open with that super fast gas. Instead, grabbing a CC after Rax. Oh, just slipping by here. That SCV. Just breaking through the line. Managing to get up onto this high ground. It will get taken out, unfortunately, but got to see everything that it needed to. The robot coming down before range. Has some very important information. A Zealot run by here into the main base, actually. Might get an SCV as well, or a delay on the factory, but regardless, gonna see everything. Both players with complete information in this game so far.
And that's where you want to be, saying you need to min-max. The first 6 minutes of the game are the most crucial, and min-maxing from that 6-minute point onwards into the mid-game, you have to know what's going on. If you don't, you have to hedge your bets, or at least like roll the dice a little bit, and then you're gambling or, you know, stretching yourself a little bit too thinly, and you're not really going to have the concentration you need to have a fighting chance in the coming phases. So scouting is just so important in this game.
Sharp gonna hide a little bit of tech now that he's been scouted. The 2 factory could lead into a 3 factory play, but it could also lead into this starport. And Sharp's gonna look to drop some vultures out on the map or potentially into the base of Best.
Right.
To throw him off a little bit, whereas Best is optimizing this timing for a Reaver to come out and deal some damage. Sharp has enough Marines to push back the Dragoon at least long enough to get the Vulture out on the map, and so Best will have to retreat with this. There's no way that he can... Oh my gosh, he's going to take a third base already? Another super fast third. This is very reminiscent of his game against Light as well.
Right. And the one thing about this...
Oh no, sorry.
Oh, he might get the probe.
The Stork.
Oh, he kills the Vulture. He didn't lose the probe. All right, one thing I was going to say is the hard thing about this map for Protoss is you can't really spot for dropships because, like, say, the dead zone at 6 o'clock and 12 o'clock and 3 o'clock, like, you don't have an ability to put, like, a spotter pile on there anymore. So the dropship gets in way easier than usual. So a drop play on this map makes a lot of sense.
Right, I didn't think about that, but you're totally right. The blank space behind 6 o'clock allows for a pathway. What the? Okay, just 1 Wraith. Interesting. So no dropship potentially?
I mean...
That's not what I was expecting, but I mean, he just saw... Oh my gosh, he just saw the probe over here as well. What I was going to say is Stork went for this crazy fast... Nexus after his natural, and he's actually kind of setting up for another Nexus down at 6 o'clock as well, right?
You were saying, if Best doesn't expect this and he comes in with this shuttle, like, I mean, the Wraith could get on top of it and just kill it, but the problem is that the Wraith is at the wrong position.
Yeah, that's true. There could still be a lot of damage from this shuttle. And if Best does a lot of damage and sees the build of Sharp is not hyper-aggressive, he might be able to get into a really fast 4th base. Let's see what happens here. Reaver dropped immediately. That Wraith is going to be on its way to deal with this, but how much damage can he get? First, Scarab does dud. Second Scarab gets a pretty good shot there. 2 or 3 kills, and the Wraith is not being controlled to chase down and keep attacking this shuttle, but it takes a lot of damage. That did take a lot of damage from the bunker there, so will have to back out and retreat. He keeps the Reaver alive, but he didn't get too much damage here, and Sharp hasn't built any turrets, so I think that he comes out of this pretty okay.
Yeah, no, I think Sharp is okay. They're losing just like 2 or 3 SCVs and some mining time. That's not too bad. And I do like the Wraith choice. Unfortunately, he put the Wraith in the wrong position, but I mean, he could have put it up there and then Best could have attacked from the other location. You know, you never know quite what Best is going to do for sure, so you can't really blame him for choosing one or the other. But yeah, he doesn't really take much damage though, critically, and that's a big deal. And now there's a little bit of pressure onto Best to be even more greedy with these expansions. We might be seeing a very fast 4th base from him as a result.
So interesting to see Best build this pylon wall early.
Yeah.
Right? He builds the pylon wall at 6 o'clock and then never takes doesn't take the Nexus, but he leaves the probe there for the potential to take the Nexus and to deny mines up on this base so that he can that he can't be blocked and slowed down on that base. This is very interesting stuff. We rarely, if ever, see a play like that, but Best is opening up some new pathways here, some new folds on the old brain are forming, I think.
I'm sure he's played against Sharp enough times that he knows how annoying Sharp can be with his vultures, so it's also like there's a chance that I can never even get a probe over here if I don't set this up early on, right?
That makes sense, actually, just considering that it's Sharp. Maybe leaving the probe over at that base. Wait, where did the probe go, by the way?
I think he sniped it.
Well, there was a probe up there on the high ground just sitting, but it seems like it disappeared. Or did he actually somehow snipe that? I thought that wasn't going to happen.
Earlier, the vulture got killed by the probe. I think another vulture came down and somehow killed it.
Well, that's ridiculous. A drop is out on the map now. Sharp may, in fact, have the opportunity to continuously snipe that probe and prevent the 4th base. Excuse me. Best has enough money to build the 4th. He'd probably like to build it right now, but he just can't.
Yeah.
And he's gonna have to sneak a probe out somehow while delaying this 3rd base of Sharp as long as possible.
He knows there's at least one vulture out on the map for sure. He doesn't know. He might be thinking there could be more. He saw the Wraith, so he also might assume that there's a dropship that could ferry out some units, right? So he might be considering that possibility as well.
Funnily enough, Best is going to take the base over here at top right. Instead of trying... Oh, okay, it looks like the probe went down. Instead of trying to take the 6 o'clock, even though he built that a wall so long ago, he's still refusing to take that base, funnily enough. And taking this base over here in the top right, that's going to be a little bit easier for Sharp to push towards, but it's not in the direction where he wants to push to get his 3rd base. So Sharp just going to slowly edge his way out on the map and continue to harass with this dropship. Oh, tank gonna siege up. I don't see any movement from Best, and he gets a great shot there. 3 kills already. Not gonna be able to target those probes though over on the gas. Maybe he can get another shot off.
Ooh.
If he's not paying attention here. He shoots the cannon. And it looks like the tank doesn't get one more shot. So unfortunately he won't be able to get the big kills, but the probes could, or the vultures could get a few more shots off. Looks like he might get 2 or 3 more kills. 5 kills total on this vulture, though.
Yeah.
Some really successful harassment from Sharp.
Yeah, very tactical there. Managed to get enough damage with the vultures to make that super worth it. Also gave him a lot more breathing room because now... Ooh, that's a good connection. Now he can come out... Oh, he gets on top of the shuttle with the Wraith. That's huge. Wait, he's a little bit cautious. Why are you so cautious? He doesn't realize there's no Dragoons nearby. He just assumed there was Dragoons nearby.
Oh, that's too bad. He definitely could have sniped that shuttle.
Yeah, he's being too cautious. He assumed that Best would be more on top of things and have Dragoons waiting just a moment away, but actually he didn't. The Dragoons were out of position. He could have sniped it for free and wasn't able to.
Yeah, if you can snipe that for free, then you can come out and kill the Reavers. Not for free, but you should be able to take them both out.
Right.
Maybe trading out for a few vultures, maybe a tank or 2. Still a better trade than if the Reavers get continuously drop microed and take pot shots at you as you move forward. So it's generally a decent trade, but maybe Sharp, not wanting to overextend himself, knowing that Best might be ready with a big attack coming in, and indeed he is just about ready to pull the trigger on that attack. Tanks are moving into position. They're not sieged up at this critical juncture while Best is moving in. There's a lot of vultures or a lot of mines in the way of this army, and a lot of the Zealots are going to take shots. There's tanks on the high ground as well, which will be critically important as he pushes towards this natural. Diving in on the high ground now with these Zealots, Templar, and Reavers. He actually kind of storms the corner of one of his Reavers, but it looks like Sharp is going to be able to hold here at the end. The Dragoons do slip by. Oh, God, that mine almost just turned this into a catastrophe for Best.
And now
but he manages to keep a lot of the Dragoons alive, and the cleanup crew is coming through.
Yeah, cleanup on aisle 5 here as the Vultures come in from the rear and just start to box in the remainder of these Dragoons that aren't going to be able to do out enough DPS to really kill SCVs like Vultures could to probe, so not finding much compensation there. It was kind of wild how he like slugged out his Reaver from his own Storm. Really crazy high-level interaction play from Best, but not enough finesse to get the job done like he usually does, and unfortunately not looking as strong as he should be at this phase of the game. Is expanding vertically and cutting the map in half that way, but if he doesn't have enough forces to challenge Sharp continually, Sharp will finally get this 4th base online and then be fine. This is the main challenge for Sharp, is how does he get his 4th base, but now he's in a much better position to take it.
Yeah, it's a real possibility in this game, and Best, I think what slowed him down or actually defeated his push there was how many tanks were on that high ground. Usually we see most of the tank forces from the Terran player on the low ground, and then like 1 or 2 tanks up on the high ground, but Sharp had like 5 or 6 tanks spread out on the high ground, and even when the all the Zealots and Templar and Reavers were dropped on top of that, he was able to deal with it and keep the remainder of the tanks alive up there, and they're just inaccessible to the Dragoons and Zealots on the low ground, so you really have to kill those with the dropped units, and he wasn't able to do so. A great hold from Sharp overall, and he's going to continue with this harassment. Siege tanks coming through and actually hitting a bunch of probes over here on this side, while Vultures are running around and dealing damage at the same time. A Storm drop comes through, but it hardly gets any damage at all. He decides to storm the units there, and that's exactly what Sharp wants. He just wants to prevent those Vultures or those SCVs from going down. Oh my gosh, so many Templar are going to be sniped.
That's pretty impressive from Sharp, doing a great job getting a few of these low HP ones as well. Great target firing, gets as much juice out of the orange as possible before those Vultures finally die. Seems like Best wants to take the bottom left quadrant of the map instead of the expected top right. I think Sharp was expecting him to expand up into this corner up here and split the map vertically, is exactly what I thought he would do, but now maybe Best is thinking the other way around. He's going to take the bottom left quadrant and get some gateways set up there later on after the fact. This could be the ticket that Best needs to stay in this game. Just get another rally point set up, stay on a high count of bases, and just, you know, wait for Terran to try and move out and take his 4th, and then start to put on some more pressure once he does so and spreads himself too thinly.
Even though that first attack didn't work out the greatest for Best, the way that we usually expect those attacks to go for him, he still reset the tank count. He's bought himself a lot of time, and he's been using that time efficiently to add more bases, and yeah, set up another rally point is the big key.
Yeah.
Sharp is eventually going to get this 4th base, and then he's going to push, and at that time you really do need another rally point going, so there's still a little bit more time left for Best to get that going, but he does need to hurry up and get into that next stage of the game. Great snipes here once again, sending in the Vultures after they've laid the mines to just go to work on this rally point and pick off more Templar. This is fantastic play from Sharp.
And he's not gambling, he's scanning for that as well. So he's scanning, sees that there's a weakness, and just pounces on it and exploits it. Really high level stuff from him, just confirming and then like seizing any opportunity he can get his hands on. Needs to be careful moving out. There's a lot of mines currently he's on top of. Zealot bombs could be really cost effective if he does siege up here. Needs to be very cautious with how he engages the Protoss army. Here comes the shuttles from the east as well. Tanks a little bit out of position. One preemptive D-Matrix, but a huge massive Zealots being bombed out on top of these tanks as well as starting some on the back row tanks as well. Pretty good surface area and tank connections with these Zealots. We'll be able to mow most of those down. Look at Best just bowl Sharp over.
Oh, I was wincing when I was watching that move out from Sharp, because I knew that this is exactly the way we see Terran players lose games against Best, is kind of an unfortunate move out, the way that they're pushing out on top of their own mines, and without the proper setup before Best comes in with his army, and that gets completely wiped out. Beautifully done there by Best, dropping the Zealots right on top of the tanks, right where they need to be, getting the Storms off, and Sharp just didn't have the right move out timing. He did not have the positioning there, and I'm brought back to that moment when the Vultures were diving into the natural. He forced the whole army back, and he opened up an opportunity to move out, but he was a little bit too slow to get everything moving after that play. You really do have to, with a player like Best, get him out of position a little bit so that you can have some space to move over your mines and then set up a new spot to take that next fight. He just didn't have the time to do that.
Yeah, you need to keep dancing away from him when you're in the ring, not let him box you in and get his arms around you. Look at this, continually coming in here and sniping these High Templars, though. That's why he probably moved out. He assumed he had killed so many High Templars that there's no way that Best would have enough to kill me, but unfortunately, that was still the case. Now, finally trying to get this 4th base online, but only 120 supply to a maxed out Best. I mean, technically you can hold this on paper, but really you want about 140 supply to fight against something like this.
Absolutely. Sharp is grasping at straws here. He's looking for his one opportunity to maybe come back in this game, and setting up a very good defensive position and have Best roll into it and take a bad fight. I just don't see that happening, though, with Best bringing forward this much army. How are you going to ever have a bad fight? This is so much Protoss and so little Terran just running up this high ground, even with the tanks being target fired correctly on the Dragoons in a big clump. He wrecks through that small force and overwhelms this 12 o'clock. Sharp is going to lose this base and most likely lose this game, now falling 100 supply behind. Man, it's crazy. Best takes down Sharp and continues on. One bad fight for Terran, and that's all it takes for Best to roll you up and put you in a carpet.
Man, I was feeling rough towards the end of that game. I felt like I was going to faint or throw up or something.
Really?
Yeah, give me a sec.
Shit.
Give me a sec. I'm not good.
Go ahead,
I'm hiding it well, but I'm not good. Fucking hell.
Take a little break.
Yeah, give me a couple minutes.
All right. I'm just gonna go talk to Mia. I'll be right back.
Okay.
Take your time.
Okay, buddy.
Jen's not feeling so good. Dump that all the way here. You put that right there. And then it all stands up. And yeah, it's just standing there. Easy. You're welcome. Oh no, it's still the but oh my god. My booty. I did bum and back. And like right here, like so sore. What up? Oh my gosh, I was walking out with this. I wasn't. I was walking normally, but I could really feel something right there. A bit of both. It's because I really like worked it out hard, and there's maybe something very still. It's like you know, the muscle's supposed to be like this, but it's like this. You know what I mean? Yeah. And then it all got healed, like air ripped, and then it got healed. Weird. So anyway, this needs to be worked. And it doesn't feel too bad now.
Oh my god, so much fun. If we can roll it, I feel like want to
My bones.
fun.
It made me taller. I'm back.
Yo.
Yo.
Whew. I think I'm okay. I don't feel good.
Yeah,
but
you're okay?
I think I can go, but I'm not okay, but I can go, you know what I mean? I'm fucking far from okay, man.
I can finish off on my own if you want.
No. I can't.
No, you good?
If I can physically sit here and do it without throwing up all over my screen, I'm gonna have your back. Don't worry.
Okay. All right. We'll finish this last game. Now this is just one more anyway.
Yeah. Let's get it.
Okay. All right.
그러면 도재혁 선수가 현재 누적 성적이 전교 1등이야? 네, 전체 1등.
Okay, final game of the night. Best versus Royal, guys. Thank you so much for being here over the holidays. Merry Christmas. And I hope you guys all have a very happy new year.
Absolutely.
I appreciate all your support. Make sure to check the links in the description. Go say thank you and Merry Christmas to KCM as well. And do, if you can, support the Patreon, guys. It really helps me out. We're not making a huge bank from just pure advertising. And so it really does help keep the lights on. Come on, guys. Help me out a little bit. Don't make me do a crypto scam. All right? I will rug pull you.
Yeah, he will. He'll rug pull you. What kind of coin would that be then? Like Templar coin, or what kind of coin would you make?
Storm coin? I don't know.
Storm coin?
Yeah, maybe. Who knows? That's not going to happen, but There's your last warning. Your first and final warning, guys. Go and support. Anyways, getting into this game, we've got Best versus Royal. Best, I mean, on another level this week.
Yep.
His play is there's no words, truly. I mean, taking out Soul Key already. I mean, he's won the hearts of the viewers. Just now, he needs to take down Royal so that he can win that 2 million all kill prize.
I mean, I hope he can go all the way and do it. I mean, what a wild run that would be. And definitely one for the archives. Slide in quite a few of those games. Best of 2024 for sure. Really crazy stuff we've seen this week at KCM. You never know what you're going to get. It's the ultimate box of chocolates from Forrest Gump, right? Like, most people probably think that Sulky was going to dominate this week. And look at this now.
Yeah, this is not... This is not the outcome that I was expecting. I mean, I don't know. Who has Best taking out Solky on their bingo card? I think that was a pretty unlikely
some crazy guy in the background that's now looking like a genius.
Yeah, if this was on a gambling website, the odds on Best beating Solky, I think, is pretty darn low this week. But he managed to pull it off, and now he is potentially going to be taking this all-kill home. Already starting out here, a little bit of denial on that Nexus, slowing it down by quite a bit by just blocking. He didn't opt to go for the eBay block, but he was doing a good job of slowing that down, and this early Zealot really hasn't done anything to Royal. Maybe not even going to force him to build a... Oh, wait, what is that? What is that below? Did he just go second factory?
I think so, yeah.
You've got to be kidding me. Royal, are we serious? You not
serious.
watch that light game?
Well, he's feeling that he can maybe get a better outcome than Light. He's going to need to, especially cross map like this. Could be awkward for him, although it also might be harder for Best to spot and stop. Who knows? We'll make it look like a strong FD, much the way that Light did. Best may react. Oh, we might get him with a probe. Are you kidding me?
Give me a break. BC's no CC, that's enough.
How does Best do that? How does Best have so much star sense that he knows he can just barely slip the probe in like that? It's fucking crazy to me.
All he needs to do now is react appropriately. He knows what's coming. He's going to be able to stop this if he just makes the right moves here. He's got to have range on the way. I'm surprised he doesn't have a second gateway started already. He might have just started that in the main base. It kind of looks like he did. He didn't build the pylon at the natural. I guess there's not enough time to build the pylon and then the
shield battery.
Shield battery in time, but he's going to pull the probes just like last time. Start to run forward here and just use the probes to tank some damage. Drag the mine. He almost gets the mine into the Marines. He actually deals quite a bit of damage to them. Softens all of them up, and all he needs to do is one more hit on each. He should be able to pick them all off. Not going to pull the Dragoon into the mines just yet, but he has that as an option. One Dragoon goes down, but all the Marines are already gone. And this is just one tank pushing into the front rather than three. So this is a much faster push, but it's being shut down just as hard, just as quickly.
Now, the probes coming off the line could spell disaster if he can get a mine detonation off on them, but he's doing such a good job of keeping the Dragoons and probes at reasonable distances. Does need to evacuate the natural expansion now. The two tanks are in a pretty good pocket, and now the mines being laid in the wake of them will make it even more difficult for Best to come down here. We'll have to kill the egg on the ridge there to give a little bit more fluency in getting up and down this ramp here. Coming out with the probe drill, maybe trying to get on top of these tanks from behind. Pretty good surround on the Vulture. Needs to be careful with the mines again. Target firing the mines down with the probes is a good idea. You can kill the mines pretty quickly with the probes, but so far, Royal doing a good job microing back with these two tanks. One of the tanks gets stuck. He might lose the tank.
Oh, the tank gets so close to going down. He focuses down the last mine. The tanks are still alive. Somehow that tank survives with like one Dragoon hit left. He's going to dive on top. No, he fails the shot. He fails the shot. Oh, Best is choking here at the 11th hour, right before taking his ultimate victory in this series. It's crazy to see, but he's losing all of the probes. And actually, Royal, even if he doesn't kill right now, might have a window to just macro out of this game after all the probe damage he's done. And this Nexus going down is the cherry on top. There it is. The Nexus falls, and he's even pushing over in towards the main. Getting some mines on top might just end the game completely.
This is crazy. The mine. Oh my god. He lost to the mine as well. This is crazy damage. Royal has done unreasonable levels of damage with this aggression. Best should not have allowed that to transpire, and now he's gonna be kicking himself. He's let this victory, this royal road, cease from him by the Terran player. This is crazy. Like, Best had this game almost in the bag, and he just barely choked at the final hour, like you say.
Oh, the scout, just thinking back to the probe scout and the way that he was able to figure out exactly what was coming, still not able to stop it. Royal doing an excellent job running up and getting those mines down, but really came down to the execution from Best to snipe those down and just keep his army alive, keep those Dragoons alive.
Yeah.
Just wasn't able to make it work the way he did against Light, and now the position is so much so in the favor of Royal. I'm not sure if there's a comeback potential for Best. He's lost so many probes, and he's just now finishing up that Nexus, but
it's rough. I mean, it's going to be 4 factories worth of production, and he's barely going to be able to afford to produce out of 4 gateways worth of units. So Best doesn't really have much counterplay to the mid-range options of Royal right now. He just has to cut somewhere to, afford the Nexus, afford more probes, and he just can't do it. He can't afford to have 24/7 production time on these gateways and keep up with Royal right now.
Yeah, you're so right. Best, he's going to transfer probes now, get his economy rolling once again. But Best is not one of those guys who can finesse a victory like Snow. He's so much more of a numbers guy. He's so much more of a bowling over your opponent
in this matchup.
This monkey, this ape, is not good with the finer tools. He is much more of a savage attacker, and it's not going to play into his style, this type of game where you just don't have any options and you need to get huge value out of just a few units. Like, if this was Snow, I would say, okay, well, maybe he can get something done with this Reaver and bring himself back in this game. That's always a possibility with a player like Snow, but I just don't see that happening for a Best in this situation.
No, I think you're right. And Royal's already done a drop kick and knocked off of that big bowler's hat that was on the top of Best's head. So he seems a little bit slower than usual, even though he is behind as well. So struggling to find himself in the jungle currently, maybe a little bit lost. And Royal just cutting away a path ahead of him with his Terran machetes, confidently macroing up right now. And even going to be taking out the observers. So, I mean, Best is going to be even in the dark when the push comes as well.
There is still one observer in front of the naturals, so he has information coming to him. He's not completely in the dark, but basically Royal can do whatever he wants. He could just push and attack, push the issue here, and now he could move towards taking a third base, a very quick third base. Basically, the world is his oyster, and he's finding a angle where Best is not completely aware of the move out, but Best actually has some awareness of this, and he's going to move into position to intercept. Let's see if he can take some sort of miracle fight to shut down Royal in this game, stop this push, and make a comeback.
Right. If you can force a few siege ups, make a few more macro rounds of units. Oh, the vultures do get in, though. Okay, does a good body block in the other vultures, actually, so does shut that down. Pretty good job there from Best. He needs to make plays like that all game long now. He can't afford to take any more damage against Royal going into this mid-game phase. He needs everything going right.
Yeah, absolutely. He needs to bat 100, just hit every single ball that comes his way, or Royal is going to overwhelm him. He already has a 10 supply lead, is going to continue to extend that, but he hasn't been able to take that third, and he hasn't executed this push just yet. He's kind of containing some of the Dragoons down in the bottom left. But Best still has some room to maneuver. He is getting closed in on, though. Look at these Dragoons in the bottom left. They are going to get completely surrounded and pushed down into the corner. There's nowhere for them to run once they're over in this main base, but they can at least make a bit of a concave on the other side of this ramp.
There's an auxiliary force.
And, you know, yeah, the auxiliary force pushing into the natural. Maybe he can get something done with this. I don't know. It's looking tough. He lost the observer.
Yeah, it's really rough. I mean, he's going to get boxed. He's going to have to stand and fight at this ridge a little bit. See if he can buy some time forcing siege ups while these auxiliary force of Dragoons out on the map get some work done. Maybe do some slowdown on this expansion going up at 9. But I don't know. This is looking pretty dire right now for Best. He's getting all these Dragoons pretty much cleaned up with only like getting like a few vulture kills and like maybe 1 or 2 tanks. Not really anything considering how many gas units he's losing right now. We'll be able to get a cancel on this command center though, I think, so that's at least some compensation.
Yeah, that is some compensation indeed. Killing off that CC, forcing the cancel. I think that Royal might be baited into an attack now. Just take everything, put everything together, and just go for it. He does start a starport and some more factories, but if Best somehow wipes out this force, if he somehow beats this army, I think he stands a pretty good chance of coming back in this game.
Right, yeah, he's going to be throwing down the CC at the mineral only, which is a slightly suboptimal base to take, or maybe slightly easier to defend. I'm not quite sure, especially if you want to attack cross map, it might be a better base to attack. To take, sorry. But I don't know. Yeah, I mean, this is looking okay for Royal on paper. The supplies are looking pretty strong for him. Like, obviously, this is still okay, but maybe Best can somehow slow him down enough in this game that he will still have a playable mid to late phase. I just don't see it at the moment. It seems like Royal's got just a bit too much stuff.
I think that as the longer this game goes, the more chances Best is going to have to come back in this game. He's stalled it out at least long enough to even out the supply, but
And the upgrades are slow for Royal as well.
Yeah, it's just, it is so tough to make a comeback like this, but just the story of this, if he manages to make this comeback, how insane would that be?
Pretty wild. I'd be trying hard not to do backflips right now, saying I'd be pretty excited. If you can somehow pull this out of the bag, it'd be pretty incredible levels of Starcraft here. Does need to get a 4th base online. Best can't just sit back and let Terran be on this level of production while he's on 3 base if he's not being aggressive. He has to either do an attack, which he can't really do because Royal's got too much, or he needs to expand. So I think he's going to expand towards 6. But on this map, it's kind of awkward to defend these bases and attack these bases with these tight little choke up on these high grounds.
This is a really good job handling the vultures running around the map, and Roll really hasn't done much with these pretty much all game aside from that initial attack. And yeah, that base is going to be taking the mineral only down there for Best. A dropship moving around the outside is a great idea from Royal. He knows that the army is already spread thin, and Best has less than he usually would at a time like this. If any probes start to go down, it's going to be so painful. Best is probably just going to fizzle out. This drop is moving around a weird angle. He might actually catch this. Oh my gosh, he almost got that kill. So close. Royal pulls back in time, though.
I mean, the game sense from Best is almost next level. I don't know how he gets away with it, but somehow he always does. Yeah, he's just operating on a different reality. You know, he's just had such a different set of life experiences that he just assumes this is the way the game is meant to be played, and maybe that's not true, but it works for him, if you know what I mean.
Almost an analogy for life. It feels like Best gets so close to death in this game that, you know, they say time sometimes slows down when you nearly die. Is going through like a Matrix-like situation where he's just barely dodging every bullet that gets sent his way. Royal firing on rapid fire, trying to hit him everywhere he can. This is a lot of vultures coming in. In fact, almost all the vultures from Royal have been sent over to this position. Gotta pull back the probes. Do not be losing those probes. Okay, 1 probe goes down. He will drive this away. Oh, he's not blocking the ramp. If only those dragons are actually blocking this ramp, would have made it so much harder for these vultures to run and make their escape. But it looks like he's just going to target down dragoons on the the return. But you know what? This is actually a reasonable trade for Best, and this might open up an opportunity for Best. If he wants to take a fight, if there's no vultures around, maybe he can jump on these tanks and actually take a decent trade.
I mean, he's dodging the bullets of the Agent Smith-like play of Royal right now, but he needs to be careful because, like, you know, at any moment he could be asking Trinity for help because, you know, Royal is still looking pretty strong in this game. He's taking another base at 12 o'clock here. Best is only just now set up at 17 minutes with 4 base economy. Very slow as far as the ebb and flow of this matchup usually goes, so... I don't know. Like, this is still going to be really tough for Best. He's doing a great job of the bullet time right now, but he's going to have to keep going.
Let's see if he can keep it up. Best is pushing back the mines now. He's setting up for a massive zealot attack. That is so many zealots in his rally point. He's finally surpassed the supply of Best, but it's just barely. Only 10 supply advantage. He needs more than that to take a good fight. And he needs to do it soon before those upgrades really start to kick in for Royal because they were late. He's only got +2, +1.
Yeah, it's a little bit slow at
but
18 minutes.
There's going to be a +3 coming in pretty soon, and he needs to take the fight before then. Getting rid of these mines. There's not a lot of them, but there's a lot of Goliaths in this force. He is ready for those shuttles to come in. Mass shuttle play, not going to be the key here for Best. He needs to get a huge surround on this army and just overwhelm it with zealots. There's not that many vultures. I don't know, can he do it? It's going to come down to this next attack. He's actually going around this force to try and deny the 4th base once again. And actually, if he stops this base, he's going to bait Royal into one massive attack.
Probably. And he wants to fight Best head on, but Best is going to do his best job of trying to circumnavigate that and not actually fight the Terran player and just kind of skirmish with him, force him to siege, unsiege, move around to the other side of the map. Now I'm going to counterattack at 12 o'clock and you got to pull back. But the vultures coming into the rally point. Best is a little bit weak here right now. We'll be losing a lot of these critical utility units. Does manage to get some storms off onto those vultures, but it's too little too late. They will be cleaning up all of those High Templars besides the ones coming fresh out of the gateways. And that's a great pickup from Royal.
Ooh, that might be it. The scan and run by into the natural, killing off all those Templar right before this next big fight. That was maybe what we'll do in Best this game. It might be the nail in the coffin. He's catching some of these probes, but they're going to make it down south. That is so many tanks and in such a good position. How do you even aggress onto that fight? Oh my gosh, the EMPs as well.
That's rough.
Royal just has everything. He's had such an advantage from the outset, from the get-go.
I mean, +3 is probably almost done as well from him if he's still getting that. So another like minute or so, less than that maybe, like 30 seconds to 60 seconds. We got +3 weapons as well. We're feeling so good as Royal right now, putting so much pressure onto Best. He's going to wait a little bit for some macro cycles to finish. He's now maxed out. He needs to find a way of engaging this cost efficient. He's going to go for it. Zealot's just charging in. Maybe there's enough mines to drag, but not. I don't think so. Some preemptive D-Matrix as well. Pretty good Sonic Storms on top of those vessels and siege tanks, and something just coming from the back as well, doing a 3-point attack. Pretty good wraparound. Look at those beautiful Sonic Storms in the flank of tanks as well. If he had just a few more units, maybe he could bowl over this position, but he's not quite got the critical mass needed to be able to achieve that.
Oh my goodness. I thought maybe, just maybe, he was going to be able to make that work with the full surround of the entirety of the army. It was the best possible engage he could have hoped for, but imagine if he had another 5 or 6 storms in that fight.
Right.
If those Templar had managed to survive, he might have been able to clean that up, but GG is called. Royal stops Best reign and keeps the all-kill prize growing. We're going to get to 3 million won here soon, Shun. It's crazy, but it might actually happen.
I mean, that's crazy. Chunk of change there. I mean, Sulky is actually going to start playing out of his mind. His ideas need money. That guy, maybe just like, tactically waiting for that money to go up just a little bit more, and then he's going to like, turn his baseball cap backwards and be like, hold my beer, kids.
Yeah, he didn't have the opportunity to get the all kill prize this time because one Terran player and one Protoss player had already been eliminated by the time he came out. But maybe in a future week, he'll have that opportunity and he'll, like you say, turn it on, come full blast, and actually take away that potential 3 million won prize. Let's jump to the score screen.
그냥 김민철 잡고 조기석까지 잡았을 때만 해도 다 왔는데.
All right, we'll make it real quick because I know you're suffering.
Yeah.
Taking a look at the point rankings, 7-7. We're dead even again. Zerg and Terran making it so close this season. It's really awesome to see. I can't believe Zerg went out first with Sulky in the lineup. How insane is that?
Yeah, it's really insane. I mean, the whole season is just one big airplane ride. A Boeing 747 just cruising at maximum altitude. And look at the points right now. Like, Ty neck and neck with Terran players, just surging back up to meet Zerg head on. Protoss straggling behind a little bit. I don't think they're going to be able to get it in these next 2 weeks. There is still technically a possibility that they win both weeks and get, 2 points each week. But then I think that requires Terran and Zerg coming second and third retrospectively once each week. And then that will put everything in that tying position. Am I wrong about that?
Yeah, that would be the Goldilocks situation. We've never seen it before. Every single season we talk about the potential for a possible tie in that first place, but it almost never happens. I don't know. Maybe this season we're going to get a tie between Terran and Zerg. Just look at how closely these two are intertwined. The whole time we thought that, they had broken the cycle of going back and forth over and under each other. In week number 4 or week number 5, that cycle had been broken, but here they are again, completely neck in neck. I have no idea what's going to happen at this point. The KCM has just been so unpredictable.
What's weird is that we thought KCM was unpredictable before, and it's almost like they heard us and made it even more unpredictable as a result.
Well, another great surprise here for this holiday season, guys. Once again, thank you so much for joining us, and we hope that your holiday season is full of love and cheer.
Yeah.
Best for 2025. I'm going to be releasing my best of coming up in January, so look forward to that, guys.
Nice.
Make sure to subscribe to the channel. Check out all the links in the description. That's it for today. That's it for this week. We'll be back with another KCM. I guess it'll be in 2025. Hey, let's go, Shun. Yeah. 2025, right around the corner.
Yeah. And season 5 as well. I mean, this is kind of crazy what we have at KCM. Thank you so much, guys. Hope you have a really happy holidays. Merry Christmas and a happy new year to you all. Please enjoy your holidays. You deserve it.
All right. That's it. We did it.
That's a wrap.
Okay. Oh.
Damn, man. I feel so fucked.
All right, man. Send me that audio and get some rest, dude. Go have a nap.
Like the last 3 games, I had a massive migraine, and then the last 2 games, I felt physically sick. Like I was actually gonna just spit all over my screen with vomit. Like I felt like I was actually gonna keel over and throw up everywhere.
Oh no. Yeah. Shit, man.
I was fucking
you're gonna have to rest and come back and watch this series all over again with a new fresh glasses, because I'm sure that was
some of it was hazy.
Not as epic.
Yeah.
Not as epic as you as it would have regularly been.
I'm sure it seems like I'm sure it seemed like I had it more together than I did. You know what I mean? Like I probably sounded okay, but yeah, a lot of the times I was not okay. But I'm a professional, man. I've got to get it done, no matter how I'm feeling.
Well, I appreciate it. Yeah, you're gonna have to go and watch that back because that was fucking epic, man. Holy, I actually thought Best was gonna come back there at the end. Man, if he had made that comeback, that is like the best game of the year. Actually, just
yeah. He almost had it. It literally just a few less High Templars sniped or something, and that would have been just barely enough. You know what I mean? It's crazy what that guy's able to do.
yeah, like actual best game of 2024 with the full context added to the situation.
Yeah.
That's next level. That is fucking next level.
I just like how hungry some of the players are. You know what I mean? Like it would be kind of boring.
True.
It'd be kind of boring if it was just like them like saying, "Okay, Sulky's got to win, right?" And they just like reserve themselves to expecting to lose. But no, you actually see people really fucking hungry for their own streak still.
Absolutely.
Like, it's good to see.
Yeah, it's awesome to see.
All right, man. Well, I'm gonna dip and send you this, and then collapse onto the bed for at least a little bit. I think.
Sounds good. All right, I'll talk to you soon.
All right, buddy.
Get better, man.
Yeah, thank you.
Take care of yourself.
I'll try to. Take care, buddy.
All right, bye.
Peace. Hope you guys enjoyed on the stream. I'll catch you on the flippity flip.